Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting series on what if Naruto was the Fox of Gotham with power of Batman. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. The Fox of Gotham, the Joker, Penguin, the Riddler, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Batman. These are the names synonymous with Gotham. The city where Batman prowls the roof and saves the city by striking fear into the heart of criminals. But what was Gotham like before Batman, before Bruce Wayne watched his parents die in front of him at age 12? What was the city like? What were the Waynes like? Not many people know this, but before the Batman appeared in Gotham, there was another vigilante. Way before Bruce was born, Martha and Thomas Wayne made their way to Japan on one of the Wayne Enterprises business trips, and on the trip they found a young boy. Naruto Uzumaki was his name. A young boy around the age of 8 when they found him by accident when he pickpocketed Thomas's wallet in an attempt to get some food. Naruto was a street orphan. His parents were killed in a car accident when he was 5 and then put in an orphanage. Other kids would pick on him because of the 6 scars he had on his face from the accident, which resembled whiskers. Naruto fought back and was often rebellious and disrespectful to the orphanage owners, so Naruto ran away. Thomas found Naruto sitting in an alley going through his wallet. Thomas could tell that Naruto was a street kid and offered Naruto some lunch and got to know him. Thomas could see that Naruto had a very good heart, a rare thing to find back in Gotham. Thomas and Martha spent a month in Japan on business, and when they had to go back to Gotham, they asked Naruto if he wanted to come with them, as their adopted son, and Naruto couldn't have been happier. Naruto Uzumaki Wayne fit right into the family, as the family butler Alfred loved the boy. Thomas and Martha had Naruto in school, and to make them proud, Naruto would do good things with this new chance in life. Over the years, Naruto rose through the ranks of his private school in both intelligence and athletics. He convinced his parents to let him take martial arts classes, and he was the picture boy of the ideal son, making him the perfect role model. 2 years later, Thomas and Martha had a son. Bruce, and Naruto loved his little brother. He looked out for him and always tried to protect him. Bruce looked up to Naruto and respected him so much. The time came for Naruto to go to college, and he got accepted to Harvard to study science and business, with a minor in law. Naruto graduated top of his class and was on his way home to Gotham to see his family when tragedy struck. Start of canon. In an alley of the Gotham Theater District, the GCPD had set up a police crime scene as uniforms took statements and the CSI took photos and DNA samples of possible evidence. 2 detectives arrived on the scene as they passed the tape. Oh, the legendary Harvey Bullock. No rest for the wicked, Officer Baum asked. Tanner Baum, looking crisp. This is my new partner, James Gordon. So what do we got? Bullock asked. I just got here myself. Male, female, gunshot. The kid saw the whole thing. Poor kid hasn't spoken a word since. Officer Baum said as they looked over to alley fire escape and saw a 12-year-old boy sitting with a blanket around him. Gordon walked over to the boy while Harvey looked at the victims and recognized who they were. My name's James Gordon. I'm a detective. What's your name? Gordon asked as the boy kept crying and didn't answer. It's okay, you don't have to talk. Harvey stood up and looked at Officer Baum. Listen T, do me a favor. You didn't see me, okay? I see you right in front of me. What's your problem? Baum asked. That's Thomas and Martha Wayne. Harvey said as Baum went wide-eyed. I don't need that kind of hassle. Call Major Crimes, they'd love to have this. Yeah, but they're not here. And your partner is talking to the witness. So, that makes it your case, Baum said. Bruce, the boy said as Gordon turned to him. My name is Bruce Wayne. Can you tell me what happened here, Bruce? Gordon asked as Bruce began to cry, and Gordon sat next to him to comfort him. When I was about your age, drunk driver hit our car. Killed my dad. I was right next to him. I know how you feel right now. And I promise you, however dark and scary the world may be right now, there will be light. There will be light, Bruce. We just got out of the movies. We were walking through the alley to catch an uptown cab to get home. My brother was supposed to be home by then. A man came out of the shadows. He was tall, with a black mask. He had a hat, and gloves, and shiny shoes. He took my dad's wallet, and my mom's necklace. And then he shot them, for no reason. I should have done something, but I was too scared, Bruce said. There was nothing you could have done to stop what would happen, but there is something you can do now. You can be strong, be strong. I promise you, I will find the man who did this, Gordon told him. Then a car drove up to the scene as an Englishman stepped out of the driver's seat and a young man about 22 years of age with blonde hair and 6 scars on his cheeks stepped out of the passenger seat. Hey, who the hell are they? Baum asked as he saw the two walk past the police line as Harvey recognized one of them. The kid is Thomas and Martha Wayne's oldest son, Naruto, Harvey said. Bruce. Naruto shouted as Bruce saw his older brother and ran to him and hugged him tight. I'm sorry, I should have done something, Bruce said as he cried into Naruto's shirt as Naruto held him tight. It's okay, Naruto said as he patted Bruce on the head. I'm here, Naruto said as Bruce then hugged Alfred. Alfred, take him to the car, Naruto said as Alfred nodded and Naruto walked up to the bodies of his foster parents. He lost his parents again. Naruto cried some tears as he wiped some away and tightened his fist as Detective Gordon walked over to him. James Gordon. Gordon said introducing himself. Naruto Uzumaki Wayne, Naruto said. We're going to get the guy who did this, Gordon told him. New to Gotham? Naruto asked. You could say, Gordon said. Good luck, Naruto said as he walked to the car and they left. After a few hours of working the case, Harvey and Gordon went to a nearby diner to get some coffee. Shouldn't we be there when they move the victims? Gordon asked as Harvey took off his jacket and sat down. Why? Listen, hotshot, do me a favor. Don't start talking to witnesses unless I say so, Harvey said. What's your problem? Gordon asked. My problem, soldier boy, you just caught us a gigantic flaming ball of crap, Harvey said. Oh yeah, how's that? Gordon asked. You never heard of Thomas and Martha Wayne? Harvey asked. Yeah, sure, the Wayne Foundation and Wayne Enterprises, Gordon said as the waitress poured them 2 cups of coffee. Yeah, 2 of the most rich and powerful people in Gotham. You can't even imagine the pressure if we don't close this thing quick, Harvey said. So let's close it quick, Gordon said. Yeah right. This is a random street robbery, Holmes. Perp could be any one of 10,000 mopes out there, Harvey said as the door to the diner opened and 2 more people walked in that Harvey recognized. Oh crap. Well, if it isn't Montoya and Allen. Major Crimes Unit. This is my new partner, Jim Gordon. Nice to meet you, Gordon said. So the Waynes, huh? Terrible thing. Any leads? Montoya asked. Just getting started, Harvey said. I'll be straight, you want us to take it off your hands? Allen asked. Why you want it? You got a lead? Harvey asked. No, just need the press action, Allen said. I don't know, Harvey said. Come on, Bullock. You know you're scared of this case, Montoya said. Damn right, I'm scared, Harvey said. Then do the right thing for once, Montoya said. For once? Where the hell do you get the nerve to say that to me? Harvey asked. You can kiss my ass, Harvey said as Montoya and Allen chuckled and left. The next day, Harvey and Gordon were at the GCPD in Captain Sarah Essen's office, watching the mayor give a press conference on the recent murders of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Poor bastard, first a crime wave and now this, the captain said. You take all the resources and people you need, you just close this case. Yes, Captain. Jim, will you give us a minute? Harvey said as Jim walked out of the office and to his desk. Jim watched as Harvey had a heated debate with the captain on trying to get a new partner, but she wasn't going to have it. Jim chuckled as he saw Harvey walk out. She said you had to keep me, huh? Gordon asked. Yes, she did, Harvey said as he put on his jacket and left as Harvey followed him and the two ran down every possible lead they could. Back at the Wayne Manor, Bruce had cried himself to sleep, the first time he had done that in years. Naruto was with him the whole night and when Bruce woke up, he barely spoke and ate. Naruto kept an eye on his little brother, he was all he had left. Bruce was taking a nap in his room as Alfred brought him lunch while Naruto was in his study, or more like his training room. When Naruto convinced his parents to let him take martial arts lessons, they let him take one of the empty rooms in the mansion to use for training. Naruto had some training posts and weights set up, some wooden bow staffs and swords and even some real samurai and ninja weapons his parents had bought at auctions or ones that were given to Naruto as gifts from his teachers. Naruto also had a desk and TV set up so he could work or clear his head if he wanted to. Right now, Naruto was letting off steam. He was wearing some sweatpants with no shirt as he was practicing on the training dummy, going through his fighting techniques and stances. Naruto was highly trained in karate, kung fu, ninjutsu and eskrima, but he still had a lot to learn. Naruto was so focused on his training as he remembered seeing his parents' bodies and faces from the crime scene. The person who killed them would find justice, one way or the other. Arg! Naruto shouted as he elbowed one of the training arms with such force it broke off. He then did a double fist punch and broke off the other training arm, and then finished the third arm with a knee up and ended up breaking the 3 training arms off the training dummy. Naruto breathed heavy after he finished destroying the training dummy as he heard someone clear their throat and turned to see Alfred standing in the doorway. "Is this a bad time, Master Naruto?" Alfred asked as he walked in. "No, it's fine," Naruto said as he walked over and got a towel and bottle of water. "How's Bruce?" "Master Bruce is still asleep. I left his lunch by his bed for when he wakes up," Alfred said as Naruto nodded and put his shirt on and looked over the morning paper. "Master Naruto, a call came from Wayne Enterprises." "I know, Alfred. They called and allocated my parents' 40% shares of the Wayne Enterprises to Bruce and I. The board controls the other 40% and 20% of the shares remain public," Naruto said as he looked at one of the newspaper articles that showed a headline of Thomas and Martha Wayne's death and the board's response to their death. "Is that a problem, Master Naruto?" Alfred asked. "Now it is," Naruto said as they saw the news where the board of Wayne Enterprises was talking about the recent death of the Waynes and their future plans to work with the mayor on preserving the Wayne legacy. The board is now going to try and take majority control over the company. 20% of the shares are public and my father was able to keep the board in check, but with him gone, the board has the chance to take over. "I see. So what do you plan to do?" Alfred asked. "Everything I can do, to get at least 10% of the public shares. If I can get 50% of the shares of Wayne Enterprises, I can at least keep the board in check," Naruto said. "Yes, and pray tell, what are your plans if you should succeed?" Alfred asked. "Watch over the company until Bruce turns 21, Naruto said. "Really, Master Naruto?" Alfred asked. "Mom and Dad would have wanted Bruce to run Wayne Enterprises, but the board won't like that idea. They'll do everything they can to try and box us out, so I have to make sure that they can't," Naruto said as he looked at an old picture of him and Bruce with his parents. "No thoughts of running Wayne Enterprises yourself, Master Naruto?" Alfred asked. "No, that's Bruce's destiny," Naruto said. "And what do you think yours is?" Alfred asked. "To help him get there," Naruto said as Alfred smiled and walked up to him and hugged him close as Naruto hugged back. "I missed you, Alfred." "And I you, Master Naruto," Alfred said as the two stopped the hug and saw Bruce in the doorway. "Hey, Bruce. How are you?" Naruto asked as he knelt down to his younger brother and saw his eyes were still stained with tears. "I can still see them, I can still hear the gunshot, it's all my fault. I was too scared, I should have done something," Bruce said as he began to cry and Naruto hugged his brother tight. "Hey, Bruce, look at me," Naruto said as Bruce looked at his brother. "What happened to Mom and Dad was not your fault, okay? There was nothing you could have done, don't blame yourself." I miss them so much," Bruce said as Naruto hugged him. "So do I," Naruto said as hugged his brother. "But I promise you this, the person who killed them will be brought to justice. And I will never leave you again," Naruto said as Bruce hugged him tight. A few more days had passed since the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and Gordon and Bullock were desperately trying to find the killer. They finally found a trail and that led them to Mario Pepper. After an altercation that led to Pepper's death, the GCPD ransacked his place and found the gun and the pearl necklace the killer stole from Martha Wayne. To the GCPD the case was done. The news heralded Bullock and Gordon as heroes for stopping the killer. At the funeral of Thomas and Martha Wayne, many of Gotham's elite showed up as well as friends of the family. Some Naruto knew were good people, others not so much. The priest had conducted the ceremony as people began to leave. Naruto had his arm around Bruce, comforting him as tears ran down his eyes. Naruto, Alfred and Bruce walked away from the graves as Naruto saw Detective Gordon and Bullock. Detective Gordon and Bullock walked up to Bruce and Naruto. "You kept your promise, thank you," Bruce said to Detective Gordon. "I'm sorry you didn't see a trial," Gordon said. It's okay. Naruto said as Bruce shook Gordon's hand and then walked away. Naruto then shook his hand and walked with Bruce to the car. Back in Gotham, at the apartment of Gordon's fiancée, Barbara Keene. She opened her door to see Detective Renee Montoya. Renee, long time. Barbara said. Yeah, Montoya said as she walked in. Sorry to drop by unexpected like this. How've you been? I'm good, you? Barbara asked. I'm good. You're running an art gallery now? Montoya asked as Barbara nodded. Cool. And I'm engaged. Barbara said. That's why I'm here. The GCPD framed Mario Pepper for the murder of the Waynes. Montoya said. What? Barbara asked. They framed and killed an innocent man. Montoya told her. And you're here to tell me that James was in on this? Barbara asked. Yes. Montoya replied. And what's your proof? Barbara asked. I can't tell you, but it's the truth. James Gordon is not a good guy. You deserve better, Montoya said. James Gordon is the most honest man I've ever met. He's not capable of doing that, Barbara said. You sure you know what he's capable of? Montoya asked. Yes, I'm sure. I know him, Barbara said. Does he know you, like I know you? Montoya asked. Montoya soon left as Barbara thought about what she said. Gordon returned home late after the funeral and some work at the police station and poured him and Barbara a drink. He walked out to the living room and saw Barbara staring out the living room window. Here you are, Gordon said as he handed her the drink and saw she was thinking about something. Barbara, what's wrong? Did you frame Mario Pepper? Barbara asked as Gordon looked at her crazy. Where did she get that idea? No, Gordon said. I knew it, Barbara said to herself. Who told you that Mario Pepper was framed? Gordon asked. It doesn't matter as long as it's not true, Barbara said. It's not. Who told you it was? Gordon asked. Nobody, she replied. I know when you're lying, Gordon said. After the funeral, Naruto should have felt at peace. The news that his parents' killer was killed should have filled him with relief, but no. It didn't go away. Bruce felt a bit better, but he was different. Hell, wouldn't you be? Alfred would look over Bruce while Naruto had some business in the city. Stuff to do with Wayne Enterprises. Naruto dressed in a dark red shirt, dark blue jeans, and an orange and black jacket with a hoodie. He drove into the city and stopped by City Hall because that was where the best hot dog vendor set up shop. Naruto stopped by to get a hot dog and tried to relax. He sat on the stairs and ate and saw Detective Gordon walked up to another detective named Montoya. Naruto's curiosity got the better of him and walked up to City Hall and hid behind one of the pillars and listened in on the conversation. He listened to their conversation and Naruto couldn't believe his ears. Pepper was framed. His parents' killer was still out there and the police department pinned his parents' murder on some guy to get positive press. Naruto tightened his fists in anger as he saw Gordon leave and decided. If this was a cover-up, he needed to know why. Naruto got on his bike and put on his helmet and followed Detective Gordon. Gordon's first stop was the apartment of Mario Pepper. After that, Gordon went back to the GCPD. Naruto had to wait outside for Detective Gordon because he would raise suspicion, so he waited to see if Gordon would leave again. Inside the GCPD, Gordon told his partner what Barbara told him and what Montoya told her. Framed? How you figure? Harvey asked. You were there. We frame him. Somebody could have planted the necklace on Pepper for us to find. Fish Mooney could have set the whole thing up, Gordon said. Why? Harvey asked. To cover up for the real killer. Mooney works for Falcone. Maybe Falcone wanted the Waynes killed, Gordon said. Whoa, wait. Why would such a nutty idea even enter your head? Harvey asked. Montoya from MCU. Gordon said. That pillhead loony bird. What's her proof? Harvey asked. Wouldn't tell me. Didn't trust me, Gordon said. 'Cause she doesn't have any. If they did they would have used it, Harvey said as he kept working on some paperwork. Pepper didn't wear shiny shoes. He didn't own any shiny shoes, Gordon said as Harvey tossed his pen down. Shiny shoes, mother of God. Shiny shoes, just suppose for a moment, just suppose Pepper was innocent. I killed him, Harvey said. We killed him, Gordon said. We killed him? We'd lose our jobs at the very least. The case is closed. Forget about it, Harvey told him. Even if the real killers are still out there? Gordon asked. Yes. This is very perilous stuff you're messing with. Listen to me for once, Jim. Forget about it. Harvey told him. Gordon left and Naruto followed him as Gordon went back to his apartment, and Naruto needed to get back to the mansion before Alfred and Bruce got worried. He'd pick up snooping around tomorrow. The next morning, after a few more phone calls about Wayne Enterprises, Naruto went back to the city and back to the GCPD to see if Detective Gordon had found anything else. Naruto arrived at the GCPD and walked into the main hall with his hoodie on so no one would recognize him. He looked around and didn't see Detective Gordon. He then walked up to one of the officers working the main desk. "Excuse me, is Detective James Gordon in today?" Naruto asked. No, actually he didn't come in today," the office said. "Oh, thanks," Naruto said as he walked away and saw Gordon's partner, Harvey Bullock, walked out of the precinct in a rush. Naruto decided to follow Bullock, maybe he would lead him to Detective Gordon. Naruto followed Detective Bullock as Bullock drove to a meatpacking and slaughterhouse that was owned by Carmen Falcone, the head mob boss in Gotham. Naruto saw Harvey walk in, so Naruto decided to follow. He kept his helmet on to disguise his face and snuck in through the back. Gordon woke up and found himself hanging upside down on one of the meat racks as three men talked around him. "Hey, what are you doing? Move that over here, you'll get a better angle," Butch told one of his men who was setting up a camera. "What, you're a director now?" the guy asked. "You're fresh, just saying," Butch said as he rolled up his sleeves and heard the door open and Harvey walked in. "Hey, Butch," Harvey said as he walked up to him. "Harvey, who told you we'd be here?" Butch asked. "Oh, everyone knows this is where you take your problems. That's my partner you got there," Harvey said. "Ex-partner," Butch said. "Let me talk to Fish," Harvey said as Butch took out his phone and called Fish. "Hey, Bullock showed up at the plant, wants to talk to you," Butch said as he handed the phone to Bullock. "Fish," Harvey said. "Speaking," Fish said, in a mood. "Don't be like that. Listen, you got to let my boy go," Harvey said. "How long we've been friends?" "For a long time, until today. I did a big favor for you and your little friends, and now it's all about to blow up in my face on account of your stupidity," Fish said. "Look, the kid's not your problem here. He was led to the frame by major crimes. They're going to come after you," Harvey said. "How did they get onto me?" Fish asked. "Usual way, I guess. Somebody talked," Harvey said. "Huh. Not one of my people," Fish said. "That's what everybody says. Listen, you got to let my boy go. You kill my partner, I got to come after you," Harvey said as Fish chuckled. "I don't want to, but how am I going to look if you kill my partner and I don't make a move?" "All right, well then you'll have to promise me that you'll keep him under control," Fish said. "I promise," Harvey said. "Cool, put Butch on please," Fish said as Harvey handed the phone back to Fish. "Yeah, boss?" Butch asked. "That son of a bitch just threatened me. You hang him up with his partner," Fish told him and then ended the call. "You got it," Butch said as he saw Harvey talk to Gordon. "Hey, how you doing?" Gordon asked. "I'm good, we're going home," Harvey said. "Yeah?" Gordon asked. "Gentlemen, I'm just glad everything could work out." Harvey was cut off as Butch walked up him and knocked him out. "PFT, cops," Butch said as he had his men string up Harvey as well. Harvey woke up and saw he was hanging upside down like James. He looked at Gordon. "How you doing?" Harvey joked. "Been better," Gordon said. "Thanks for trying to help." "Wish I hadn't," Harvey said. "Hey Butch. Yeah, save your breath. Look, if it was up to me, you'd get a bullet in the head and a decent funeral. But Fish has her ways," Butch said to Harvey, who exhaled in frustration. "Yo, Frankie. Show time." Butch yelled as Gordon and Bullock saw a giant man wearing an old-style executioner's mask and bloody smock walked out of a door. "Aw crap," Harvey said as he and Gordon tried to get free. With Naruto, he was able to find a way into the plant. He went around the back and climbed up through an old window. He grabbed an old lead pipe that was on the ground, just in case, and walked through the factory and followed the voices. He then peered around the corner and saw Detective Gordon and Bullock strung up and a giant man grab and Butcher's knife. Naruto thought to himself, "Aw man, I got to do something." He then looked at the pipe and then back at Gordon. This is such a stupid idea, but the right thing to do, Naruto thought as he stilled his courage and walked out. Hey! Butch and his men heard as they turned and saw some guy with a motorcycle helmet holding a lead pipe walked out into the room. Gordon and Harvey saw some guy as well. Let them go, Naruto said. What is it? Halloween. Sal, take care of this guy, Butch said as Sal nodded and pulled out his gun. Naruto saw the gun and threw the lead pipe through the air and hit the guy in the face and hit him hard that it broke his nose. Butch and his other guy took out their guns and fired at the stranger as Naruto dove for cover. He took cover behind one of the old cow carcasses that was strung up for meatpacking. He saw them getting closer, but also saw the cow carcass strung up on a hook that was on a set of rollers so the butchers could move the meat between rooms, and Naruto got an idea. He pushed the meat and used it as a shield as Butch and his man kept firing, but the meat took all the bullets. When Naruto got close enough, he then close-lined one of the men and then rolled forward and then spin-kicked Butch in the face, knocking him to the ground. Gordon and Bullock saw the guy with the motorcycle helmet fight against Butch and his men. Frankie then swung at the man with the motorcycle helmet as Naruto kept dodging and moving away. He then rolled forward to duck a knife swing and picked up the lead pipe he threw before and turned around, swung at Frankie's face, knocking him on his back. Butch then got up and grabbed Naruto from behind, so Naruto smacked the back of his head against Butch's face, then elbowed him in the gut and threw him over his shoulder and onto the ground. He then blocked a punch from another guy, and then kneed him in the gut, and then elbowed him in the face and kicked him to the ground. Then an alarm went off as the loading bay door opened and in walked 5 men with shotguns. One of Butch's men took out his gun and the approaching men opened fire and killed him. Naruto ran as Frankie and the rest of Butch's men were killed. Naruto ran for cover and out of the factory as Butch held his hands up in surrender and saw who was leading the men. Don Carmen Falcone. Don Falcone. Butch said. Forgive me, young man, I forget what your name is, Falcone said. Or perhaps I never knew it. Gilzine, sir. Butch said. Gilzine, tell Ms. Mooney she's too impetuous. If she wants to kill policemen, she has to ask permission, Falcone said. Yes, sir. Butch said. Get yourself cleaned up. You're bleeding, Falcone said as he handed Butch a napkin to clean his bloody nose. He then looked at Bullock and Gordon. There are rules. Cut them down. That's right, there are rules, Bullock said. After Bullock and Gordon were saved by Carmen Falcone, Falcone had a private chat with Gordon about what was going on and how his life was spared, and that what Gordon thought was a simple cover-up is part of a much larger thing that he couldn't even imagine. Falcone gave Gordon a test to make sure that he was on the same page as Harvey and the rest of the city was, and if he didn't, he and his fiancée would be dead. Gordon returned to his apartment to let his fiancée know he was fine and to get some sleep. The next morning, Gordon drove to Wayne Manor. Naruto was getting dressing in his room and looked at his motorcycle helmet he wore when he fought against those mob men. Naruto's motorcycle helmet is a full face and has a front shield and it completely covers his head. It was crazy to go up against the men of Carmen Falcone. He was the most powerful mob boss in Gotham, had most of the city in his pocket. But it felt good to fight against the corrupt and criminal of Gotham City. Saving people felt like the right thing to do. If he had fought against them without the helmet, they would have made him and he and Bruce would be dead. But with the helmet, he wasn't Naruto Wayne, he was someone else, he was something else. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when he heard a car drive up the driveway and recognized it as Detective Gordon's car and went to the front door to see him. He and Alfred walked out of the front door to see Detective Gordon looking at them and point up. They looked up and saw Bruce standing on the roof's ledge. Bruce! Get down from there, Naruto shouted. Oh why, Master Bruce? Get your bloody ass down from there. How many times have I told you not to climb things? Alfred shouted as Bruce saw his brother and Detective Gordon and came down from the ledge. They all then met in the den as Alfred brought over some tea and cookies as Detective Gordon sat in a chair. Bruce sat on the couch and Naruto sat next to him. Bruce, what were you doing on the roof? Naruto asked. I'm learning to conquer fear, Bruce said. Fear doesn't need conquering. Fear tells you where the edge is. Fear is a good thing, Gordon said. And you think I haven't told him that, do ya? Alfred asked. What brought you here, Detective? I imagine this is more than a social visit, Naruto said. Yes. Mario Pepper didn't kill your parents. He was framed, by the police department, and the mob working together. We killed an innocent man, Gordon said. Right. So who did it then? Alfred asked. I don't know, Gordon said. I see. Well then, starling work there, mate, Alfred said. Yes, I'm sorry, Gordon said as he placed his badge on the table. Don't be. I'm glad he's still alive. I want to see him again, Bruce said. I'm asking you to give me a second chance. I'm going to find out who killed your parents, and why, and I'm going to clean up the damn police department if I can. But I can only do that from the inside, Gordon said as Bruce and Naruto looked at him. So I'm asking you to stay silent about this, about what I told you, your call. Well, this is all convenient, Alfred, Naruto said, getting Alfred to stop. Bruce then looked at the badge and then at Naruto, who nodded. Bruce then nodded to Gordon and handed him the badge and walked away. Thank you, Gordon said as he then stood up to leave and Naruto walked him out. Detective, if you're serious about doing this, you'll need some help, Naruto said as he handed him a card. My number, if there is anything you need, anything all that. I can help, Naruto said as Gordon looked at the card and saw it was a Wayne Enterprises business card with Naruto's name on it, and on the back, it was Naruto's personal cell number. Wayne Enterprises business card? Gordon asked. The papers would have published the story tomorrow, but you are looking at Wayne Enterprises' new CEO, Naruto said. Congratulations, Gordon said. It's nothing. I managed to secure half of the company while the board secured the other half, so I am now chief operating officer and will help run the company until Bruce is ready to take over, Naruto said. If there is anything you need at all, I'll be there, Naruto said as Gordon shook his hand and drove away. After the meeting with Detective Gordon, Naruto spent the rest of the night and the next day looking over all the documents that were sent to him. His new position as CEO meant that he needed to know everything about Wayne Enterprises, every division and subsidiary and employee and board member. If he was going to run the company and carry on his parents' legacy until Bruce took over, Naruto would need to know everything and help Bruce along the way. After about 5 hours of sitting at his desk and reading over Wayne Enterprises documents since lunch, Naruto needed a break, so he decided to see how Bruce was doing. Naruto checked Bruce's room but saw he wasn't there. So he checked the kitchen, the living room, and he wasn't there. So he went to the den and noticed the door was closed. He opened the door and Bruce immediately sat up and put his right hand behind his back. Naruto then noticed the lights were off with a lone candle lighting the room. Ah, there you are, Naruto said as he turned the lights on. Come on, I could use a break and I smell that Alfred made those vanilla cinnamon raisin scones we love, Naruto said as he saw Bruce seemed to be hiding something. What are you doing? Nothing, Bruce said. You've always been a bad liar. You got something behind your back? Naruto asked as Bruce shook his head. Come on, show me. Bruce then removed his hand from his back and showed Naruto his burnt hand, and he put 2 and 2 together. What the hell did you do? Naruto yelled as he grabbed Bruce's hand as Bruce was scared that his brother yelled. Naruto then realized what he did as he saw Bruce's face. I'm sorry. It's all right. It's going to be all right, Naruto said as Bruce hugged his brother. In the streets of Gotham, runaway kids were huddled together next to fire bin as a homeless man was drinking some beer. Selena Kyle, or Kat as she was called, was sitting against the wall, looking at a necklace. She was brought out of her thought when she heard the motor of a truck. She and other kids heard the noise and turned to see a truck drive up to them and a quirky man and woman step out. Hi, I'm Patty and this is Doug. We're with the mayor's homeless outreach project. We have some sandwiches and soup, Patty said. Got cookies. Who here likes chocolate? Doug asked as the three walked over to get food. Ain't you hungry, Kat? One of the guys asked as Kat shook her head no. The 3 kids grabbed some food and began to eat when the woman walked up behind them and jabbed them in the back of the neck with a large pin. Kat saw what she did and ran as the homeless man got up. The homeless man's shout allowed the 3rd kid tried to run away. Doug then pulled out his gun and shot the homeless man in the chest. Oh, fudge! Patty shouted as they watched the kid run. Don't worry, I'll get him, Doug said as he ran after the kid. The kid fought back, but due to the pin jab he was feeling woozy and was thrown through the window of a fancy restaurant, causing Doug to flee. The next morning, Naruto was getting a drive to Wayne Tower by Alfred as his first day as the CEO of Wayne Enterprises. Alfred parked the car outside the tower as Naruto stepped out of the car and looked up at the building. He fixed his tie and Alfred walked over to him and made sure he looked presentable. He saw Naruto fidgeting with his tie, so he fixed it for him. "Nervous, Master Naruto?" Alfred asked. "How could you tell?" Naruto asked. "Don't be. You'll do great," Alfred said as he stepped back and looked at Naruto in nice business suit. "You look like a true Wayne, Master Naruto." "Thanks, Alfred. Watch over Bruce, okay?" Naruto asked. "Of course," Alfred said as he got back in the car and left as Naruto walked into the main lobby. "Good morning, Mr. Wayne." "Morning, Mr. Wayne." "How are you, Mr. Wayne?" are some of the greetings he got when he walked into the building as everyone greeted their new boss. Then a woman walked up to Naruto. "Good morning, Mr. Wayne. My name is Peggy Carter. Welcome to Wayne Enterprises. If you follow me, I'll escort you to your new office," Peggy said as she escorted Naruto through the building and up to the top floor and to his new office. She's the assistant from Batman Begins that Bruce plays golf with during the board meeting. Naruto saw the door, said, "CEO Naruto Wayne," and smiled as he saw the door open and remembered when he and Bruce were kids. They would play here every now and then, when their dad wasn't too busy. "Is the office to your liking, Mr. Wayne?" Peggy asked. "It's perfect," Naruto said. "I'm glad. I'm right outside should you need me," Peggy said as Naruto nodded and she walked outside and closed the door. Naruto smiled as he walked to the chair that he remembered his dad used to sit in and sat down. He looked around his desk and saw his new computer, his phone and an old photo of his dad's one with him and Bruce right before Naruto left for college. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when Peggy walked back in with a file. "Mr. Wayne, the board has arranged a meeting today in 2 hours to meet with you and discuss the quarterly earnings as well as talk about the new Arkham plans," Peggy said as she handed him the file on Arkham Asylum. "The Arkham plan?" Naruto asked. "Yes, Mr. Wayne. With a Wayne now in control of Wayne Enterprises, the board felt it would be better that Wayne Enterprises takes over the restoration plans for the asylum. Is there anything I can get you?" Peggy asked. "Coffee, please. Cream and sugar," Naruto said as Peggy nodded and left while Naruto got busy looking over the Arkham plans that his parents had developed. Not only were the plans for the new asylum which would have the old one torn down, but it was also being coupled with a new housing project backed by the mayor, which meant that it was Falcone's housing development plan. Naruto looked over the Arkham plan and saw the proposed memos for the destruction of the old asylum to build a new advanced and secure mental health facility, which is what his mom and dad wanted. Peggy then escorted Naruto to the boardroom where the board of directors were waiting for him. When Naruto walked in, they all stood up as Naruto took his seat at the head of the table. "Naruto, welcome to Wayne Enterprises," Sid Bunderslaw said, one of the heads of the board. "Thank you, Mr. Bunderslaw," Naruto said. "Oh, you know who I am?" Bunderslaw asked. "In preparation for becoming CEO, I familiarized myself with everything that has to do with Wayne Enterprises. Now, shall we get this meeting started?" Naruto said as they all took a seat. "Mr. Wayne, we've had our accountants drum up possible third-quarter earnings and they say all of our departments are at more than optimal levels," one board member said. "I'm sensing a but," Naruto said. "But, they've suggested on minimizing the Applied Sciences division here in Gotham, again," the board member said. "Again?" Naruto asked. "Your father was the one who minimized the Applied Sciences division himself. He felt that compared to the other Applied Sciences divisions overseas, our Gotham branch has been underproductive," Molly Mathis said. All right. Send me a copy of the document so I can look it over. I just want to take a look at it before I make any decisions. Maybe I can find something that my father missed," Naruto said as Molly nodded. "And our final point of business, the Arkham plan. Yes, after some consideration, we felt that it would be wise to have the Arkham plan back under Wayne Enterprises' control and we'd like to announce it during the mayor's press conference in a few weeks," Bunderslaw said. "That sounds fine. I've also noticed the Arkham plan has been joined with Mayor's new progressive development housing project in the Arkham district," Naruto pointed out. "Something that we felt would further boost the support for the plan during the vote in a week," Mathis said as Naruto looked over the support and didn't really like it because it was tied to Carmen Falcone, but he couldn't do much. "All right, we'll prep for the vote. If that will be all," Naruto said as they all got up and left as Naruto walked back to his office as Bunderslaw walked up to him with someone next to him. Naruto, there's someone I'd like to introduce to you. This is Lucius Fox, one of our junior executives and the current head of the Gotham branch of Applied Sciences, Bunderslaw said. Nice to meet you, Mr. Fox, Naruto said as he shook Lucius' hand. The pleasure is mine, Naruto, Lucius said. I figured it'd best to talk to Mr. Fox about the Applied Sciences division so we can figure out what to do, Bunderslaw said. All right, Naruto said as Bunderslaw walked away. Let's talk in my office, Naruto said as he and Lucius walked into Naruto's office. After they walked in, Lucius closed the door and reached into his pocket. So, Mr. Fox. Shush, Lucius told Naruto as he then pulled out a device from his pocket that looked like a lighter box and then pressed the button on the side causing a light to turn red. Okay, now we can talk, Lucius said. What is that? Naruto asked. People could be listening. This makes sure our conversation won't be heard beyond this room, Lucius said as Naruto picked up the device and looked at it. A miniature surveillance encryptor, incredible, Naruto said as he looked over the device. One of the many wonders I've invented at Applied Sciences, Lucius said. What's going on here? Naruto asked. I needed someplace to talk to you in private, away from the board. They don't like you, Lucius said. Yeah, I figured that much out, Naruto said. They really don't like you. When you were able to acquire 50% shares of the company, they were really upset. They only gave you the CEO position to keep up appearances. They want you out, Lucius said. Why are you telling me this? Naruto asked. Because I want to help you save this company, and to honor a friend. I knew your father well, more than anyone else here at the company. Your father was a good man. He wasn't the man the company thought he was, Lucius said. I don't understand, Naruto said. Naruto, your father was a true stoic. He kept his best self, hidden, but he was a good man. And I believe there are some things your father would want you to know, Lucius said as he took out a piece of paper and handed it to Naruto. It had an address in the Narrows. Come there when you want answers, Lucius said as he turned off the encryptor and walked to the door. You can keep the encryptor, a gift. Back at the GCPD, Gordon and Bullock got the case of the dead hobo found on the street, which revealed to be part of a much bigger case involving child kidnappers. Both were working the case, but their relationship was strained ever since Gordon's act of following the program. Right now, the two were talking to Captain Essen about their behavior, which was starting to become a problem. He says he has a right to stop me from beating on a mope, Harvey said to Captain Essen. Damn right I do, Gordon replied. How am I supposed to work with this? Harvey shouted. Look it, Jim. It's not like I can order you to break the law, but this is Gotham. You don't bend, you'll get broke, Essen said. I understand, Gordon said. I thought you were with the program? Essen asked. He is, Harvey said. Well, let's get back to work. So, where are you at? Essen asked. Well, if the boy we have is telling the truth, there's a couple of kidnappers out there abducting homeless children. In numbers. They lured them in with the food truck from the mayor's homeless outreach program, and they drugged them with a jab from a big pin, Gordon said. Why would anyone want to abduct scraggly-ass orphans in bulk? I mean, where's the profit? They're out on the street because no one wants them anyway. If they said they were snatching cute girls, I'd believe him, but what would anyone want with a lard ass like Mackie? Harvey asked. What is it, Ed? Captain Essen asked, seeing the CSI Edward Nigma outside. Ed then walked inside. Guess what I found? I did a blood analysis on your boy and he has high levels of ATP. What's ATP? It's a fast-acting knockout drug. They used to use it at the old Arkham Asylum, bring down troublesome patients. It's hard to get, no recreational use, Ed said. Okay, that's interesting, Harvey said. Anything else? Essen asked. No, Ed said. Thank you, Ed. Essen said as Nigma stayed around as Gordon cleared his throat. Thank you, Ed. Essen said as he left. Get to work, and keep this quiet. No press, not a word, Essen said. Shouldn't we tell the public what's going on, warn them? Gordon asked. Department policy, we don't advertise this kind of stuff. Causes panic. The headlines will read, Gotham's kids snatched, Essen said. Which would be true. Gordon said. No press, that's an order. Follow up on the drug, ATP, and the Arkham connection, Essen said. Arkham's been closed for like 10 years, Harvey said. Yeah, 15. Essen said. Drug supplies might still be in business, Gordon said. Ah, this happened on Fish Mooney's turf. Do you want to see if it's safe for us to go back there, or, is she still mad at us? Harvey said. Good question. Essen said. With Fish Mooney, she was at her club and business was booming as the patrons listened to an awesome band play. When the song ended, they all clapped as Fish saw Falcone enter and she and Butch stood up. Don Falcone. What a wonderful surprise. Welcome, Fish said. Thank you, my dear. Can we talk? Falcone asked. Of course, give me a moment to clear the place, Fish said. No, don't. No need to spoil the fun, Falcone said as they sat down and Laszlo came by and poured them 2 glasses of wine. The two raised their glasses to toast. Men who are about to die are very honest. It pays to listen to them. That's some toast, Fish said as they drank. I spoke with your man, Cobblepot, before he died. Odd little fellow. Perceptive. He told me the death of the Waynes would bring troubled times for our family in Gotham, Falcone said. PFT, what did he know? Business is as good as ever, Fish said. No, he was right. The Waynes and the Falcones were the pillars of the same house. We understood each other. Now that they're gone, everything is out of balance and the Wayne Empire is in flux. We've got a new boy in charge now, who knows what will happen. The Maroni family senses weakness. They'll start making moves and then every criminal in this city will start making moves, Falcone said. Please, don't lose any sleep over Maroni. He's number 2 for a reason, Fish said. I never lose sleep over my enemies, it's my friends that keep me awake at night. Cobblepot said that you think I'm old and soft and ready to be taken out and that you're the one who's going to replace me, Falcone said as Fish took his hand. Don Falcone, I would never. I only have deep love and respect for you. You have been like a father to me, Fish said. I'm so happy to hear you say that. Let's forget all about it, then. The babbling of a condemned man, Falcone said as they cheered. Enough business. How have you been, my dear? Thriving, I hope. Yes, good. I'm good, Fish said. Which of these is your lover? Falcone asked, referring to the bartenders and waiters. Please, my heart has been broken far too many times for that nonsense, Fish said. I heard you had a lover, Falcone said. Well, if you're referring to the boy I keep around for exercise, my lover he is not, Fish said as Falcone looked at Laszlo and signaled him over. What's your name? Falcone asked. Laszlo, sir, Laszlo said. Laszlo, be good to this woman, she's very precious to me. If you break her heart, you break my heart, Falcone said. Yes, sir, Laszlo replied. Falcone then nodded his head as his men grabbed Laszlo and brought him to the front and began to beat the crap out of him as a message to Fish. Give me your hand, Falcone said as Fish put her hand in his. Thank you for being honest, it means a lot to me. It shows wisdom and humility, he said as he kissed her hand and got up. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time to get to know the new Wayne boy, Falcone said as he left and Fish wanted everyone out. Naruto was in his office, looking over files on new projects and earnings from the various overseas subsidiaries and Wayne Enterprise divisions. Naruto put a file down and looked at the clock and saw it was 6:30 and he was getting hungry, so he decided to head out for dinner. Naruto grabbed his jacket and some files to read at home. As he was grabbing the files, he also saw the address that Lucius gave him. He put that in his pocket as he walked out and gave Peggy the rest of the night off. Naruto walked out of Wayne Enterprises and went to a small ramen shop that he always used to go to when he was younger. Ichiraku Ramen was a small ramen shop in Gotham's Chinatown district where a lot of the Asian businesses were located. Naruto took a company car to the Bleak Island district. He got out of the car and entered the small ramen shop where the owner of the shop, Tazuna, greeted Naruto with open arms. Naruto, it's so good to see you, Tazuna said as he hugged Naruto and Naruto hugged back. Good to see you, Tazuna. How's business been? Naruto asked. Good as ever, and we've got our number 1 customer back, Tazuna said as Naruto sat down at a table and Tazuna's daughter, Ayame, brought Naruto a bowl of ramen. Welcome back, Naruto, Ayame said. Thanks, Ayame. Naruto said as he relaxed and ate his bowl in peace. Naruto let loose a sigh of relaxation as he slurped and chewed the noodles in the miso broth. He quickly finished the first bowl and ordered a second and began eating it when he heard a new person walk in. "That is some appetite you got there, son," Naruto heard as he recognized that voice. He put his chopsticks down and looked up to see Carmen Falcone with his men waiting outside the ramen shop. "Carmen Falcone," Naruto said. "I see that you know me," Falcone said. "Everyone knows who you are," Naruto said. "And everyone knows who you are as well. Naruto Wayne, eldest son of Thomas and Martha Wayne. The prodigal son returns on the eve of tragedy to take over the family business and secure his future," Falcone said. "More like ensure that my brother has won," Naruto said as Falcone smirked. "A boy who loves his family more than himself, an admirable quality. You don't mind if I take a seat, do you?" Falcone said as he took a seat. "Something tells me that I can't disagree," Naruto said. "That would be right. Don't worry, I don't plan on staying long to ruin your dinner. I just thought I would get to meet the new head of the Wayne family," Falcone said as Naruto took a drink of water. "You know, a Wayne company car driving around Chinatown is an unusual sight, but seeing an old-fashioned Cadillac drive through following said company car does raise some eyes," Naruto said as Falcone smirked. "Tell me, did you follow me after I left Wayne Enterprises or did you just happen upon me? You are very wise for a boy your age, I must say, that is very impressive," Falcone said. "I was raised in Gotham. Even though being raised as a Wayne was a privilege, this is Gotham, it helps to be prepared in life," Naruto said as Falcone chuckled. "That is the one truth in life. So, how does the work of the CEO of a multi-billion, multinational company fare for a young man such as yourself?" Falcone asked. "Keeps me busy. I'm currently working on preparing for the development of the Arkham plan. A plan that has your house development attached to it," Naruto said. "It's a plan that's good for Gotham, and I want what's best for Gotham. Your father understood that," Falcone said as Naruto took another sip of water. "And that is the reason you're here. To see if I'm willing to play along with what you do," Naruto said. "The Waynes and the Falcones have been the pillars of Gotham for years. Your parents' death was a tragedy, and I see this city falling to ruin, unless we make sure it stays strong. With their death, the city will be brought under a crucible and I want to know if you're willing to work with me to make sure it stays strong," Falcone said as he held his hand out. "Mr. Falcone, with all due respect, I've just started as CEO today. My only goal is to make sure that my brother has a future and that my city stays safe. I honestly don't know what will happen with Gotham in the future because of my parents' death, but if you and your people play nice, I won't be your enemy," Naruto said as he lightly shook Falcone's hand, just out of respect. "That is all I ask. After all, you can't have organized crime without law and order," Falcone said as he shook Naruto's hand. "Enjoy your dinner, Mr. Wayne. I hope to see you again in the future," Falcone said as he left. When Falcone left, Tazuna walked up to Naruto. "Naruto, are you okay?" Tazuna asked. "I'm fine. Don't worry, I can take care of myself, and all my friends," Naruto said as he assured Tazuna that he and his daughter were under Wayne Enterprises' protection, in case Falcone had any ideas. After dinner, Naruto went back home. He checked on Bruce and was a bit worried. Bruce had shut himself in more and had gotten darker from the kid that Naruto remembered. Alfred told Naruto that Bruce had begun to have nightmares and wasn't sleeping well. Naruto was getting worried and wanted to help Bruce, but he knew that therapy wasn't a possibility. The kind of stress that Bruce went through is something that no one should go through alone, and Bruce needed more than him or Alfred. He needed someone who had gone through that kind of trauma to help Bruce move past it, and Naruto knew just the person. Naruto was on his way to the office, driving his Mustang, and walked into his office and saw Peggy waiting with a coffee and the morning paper. "Good morning, Mr. Wayne. The morning paper and your coffee," Peggy said as Naruto smiled and took them. "Thank you, but you didn't need to do that. I'm more than capable of getting my own coffee," Naruto said. "It's my pleasure, Mr. Wayne," Peggy said as Naruto walked into his office and sat down in his chair. "You have some new acquisition papers that need your signing and a memo came from Sionis Industries that the board would like you to look over." "Thank you, Peggy," Naruto said as she left. Naruto took a sip of coffee and saw the headline on the paper. "Child Snatchers. Gotham spirals ever downward. Naruto read the paper and saw that the police were trying to cover up the fact that for the past few months, Gotham's children have been going missing, and it's been confirmed that they have been kidnapped. Naruto felt sympathy for the children taken. Street kids with no one to look over them. Naruto was one of them once, and it was only because of the kindness that his dad showed him that he was adopted. Naruto then thought to himself that he needed to do something about this, so he spent the entire day making calls and arranging something that would improve Gotham. Naruto's work continued into the night, so Naruto let Peggy go home. He then got a call from the mayor that Gordon and Harvey rescued the kids, but the kidnappers were still out there. The mayor was going to have a press conference at the GCPD to explain his new program that would help the children, but Naruto politely declined the request and thought to himself, would the kidnappers really just give up on those kids after months of taking them? The mayor said they didn't identify the kidnappers, so they could be anyone, something they could use to their advantage. At least that's what Naruto would do. Naruto returned home and talked to Alfred and asked him to head to the GCPD tomorrow to talk to Gordon about Bruce. Maybe Gordon could help. While Alfred did that, Naruto wanted to make sure those kids were safe. He woke up early the next morning, and as he left the house, he went to his training room and grabbed 2 Eskrima fighting sticks and hid them in his jacket as he grabbed his bike helmet, a pair of binoculars, and left on his 1980 Harley Cruiser bike. Naruto was heading to the Gotham Juvenile Center while the mayor was hosting his press conference. On behalf of all the citizens of Gotham, I want to thank you, brave gentlemen, from the bottom of my heart. The mayor said to Harvey and Gordon as he then turned to the children and the rest of the people at the press conference. And I want to promise you kids, that we will take care of you as if you were our own children. But here's the thing, the people that victimize these kids are still out there. And hundreds of vulnerable youngsters are living on our streets. Alone, unprotected, and let's face it, that's the real crime here. So what are we going to do to help these kids? Yesterday, I made a phone call to Juvenile Services and the GCPD to initiate a humane, but tough love program to get these kids off the streets and into the loving arms of Juvenile Services. The mayor said as the press took photos and asked questions. After the press conference was over, Captain Essen, the mayor, and Gordon and Bullock retired to Essen's office to speak. I think that went very well, the mayor said. I thought so too. A small toast, Your Honor, Essen asked as she got a bottle of whiskey and 4 glasses as Gordon closed the door. Mr. Mayor, where are you sending all the children that get rounded up? Gordon asked. Foster homes for the cute undamaged ones. Upstate for the rest, the mayor said. Upstate? Gordon asked. The Open a Youth Correctional Facility. A fine institute, the mayor said. Prison, in other words. Gordon said. Forgive me, Your Honor. Detective Gordon is our house fire ant. Essen said as she handed Gordon and Bullock 2 cups of whiskey. No, it's okay. Jim, may I call you Jim? Half of the petty crime in this city is homeless kids. They need structure, people who care for them. For the greater good of Gotham, and for the children you see, the mayor asked. I see you using the child snatchers as a pretext to lock up children, without a trial, Gordon said. Thank you, my friend. Valuable input, most refreshing, the mayor said. Let shame. Bullock said as they all took a drink. After the drink, Gordon left the captain's office and walked back into the precinct when the desk sergeant called him. Yo, Gordon. There's a man waiting for you, upstairs, the sergeant said as Gordon turned to see Alfred waiting up on the upper floor. Mr. Pennyworth, Gordon said as he walked up to Alfred. Alfred. It's bedlam in here. Rough job you got here, Alfred said. Best job in the world, Gordon said as he shook Alfred's hand. I wonder if it might be convenient for you to visit us tomorrow? Alfred asked. Of course. Why? Something wrong? Gordon asked. I don't know, never had a child before, Alfred said. Nor me. Gordon said. Naruto sent me here himself. He and Master Bruce respect you. He thinks you may be able to help. Alfred said as Gordon nodded. Tea time, shall we say? Tea time. Gordon said as Alfred shook his hand and walked away. Just another question, where is Naruto? I imagine rather busy with a new project of his, Alfred said as he left. Naruto was actually at the Gotham Juvenile building, he near the far fences on his bike with his helmet on. He removed the shield on his eyes to use the binoculars and to get a better view of what was going on. The police were moving the kids into prison buses to be moved to a prison upstate, which rubbed Naruto the wrong way. But right now, he just wanted to check to make sure that the kids would be safe. Naruto overheard that the buses weren't scheduled to leave until noon. That gave him about half an hour. Naruto was looking at the far right bus when he noticed two officers, one man and woman, walk into the third bus. Naruto looked inside the bus through the windows and saw a girl wearing a leather jacket try to run away, but the woman pulled her gun and pointed it at her. Something a cop would never do in a bus with kids. Naruto then saw the woman force the girl in her seat and had her partner drive the bus away from the prison, but none of the other cops thought something was off. Naruto knew they were the kidnappers. He started his bike and followed the bus, staying back enough so he didn't raise suspicion. Naruto followed the bus as it went to the warehouse district near the docks. The bus went into one of the warehouses that was owned by Trident Intercontinental Shipping. He parked his bike to the adjacent warehouse and snuck in through a broken window. The bus moved through the warehouse and stopped near some shipping containers. The two kidnappers got out as four other men with guns came out from the warehouse, as well as they ordered the kids off the bus and into the open shipping container. "There you go, kids. Don't worry, everything will be all right," the woman said as she and her partner took head count as the kids walked into the shipping container. The last kid got off the bus as the two kidnappers compared head count. "Funny thing, by my count according to the sheet they gave us, we're one short," the guy said. "Me too. Maybe there's one on the bus," the woman said as she walked back onto the bus. She had her gun out as she looked at the seat, underneath and in the back, but there was no one. "Nope. Weird. Must be a miscount someplace. Don't worry, we got more than enough," the guy said. "We did good," the woman said as they high-fived. "Indeed we did. The doll maker will be so pleased with us," the guy said as they didn't see Cat sneak off the bus and out of the warehouse. She walked away slowly and carefully, so as to not make a sound. She made her way to the old containers part when she was grabbed from behind and a gloved hand put over her mouth. She tried to scream, but her scream was muffled. "Quiet. Do you want them to hear us? I'm here to help," Kat heard as she looked up to see some guy in a motorcycle helmet. Naruto motioned her to be quiet as she nodded. He peeked out from behind a container and saw one of the thugs walk towards them. He must have heard her muffled scream. "There's a guy coming. Be quiet and stay hidden. Go," Naruto said as Kat ran and left. Naruto stayed against the container and got a plan. The guard with the gun heard something near some old shipping containers and walked to them. He had his gun out just in case and walked to the containers but saw nothing. Must have been a bird that flew into the warehouse. The guy put his gun down and turned to walk back when Naruto quietly jumped down and grabbed the guy from behind. "Arg!" he shouted as Naruto put his head in a lock under his arm, causing the man's body to go almost parallel to the ground. The man tried to get free, but Naruto kept his grip strong. He then brought his free arm up and did an elbow slam onto the man's chest and knocked him out. As Naruto did that, the kidnappers and the guards heard the shout and cocked their guns, ready to kill whoever was there. They split up to look around as they had their guns out. One guard walked to the far window to check outside but was then hit on the head with something and knocked out, with his body dragged out of the light. Another one walked around some old boxes as he thought he heard movement. He was turned around a box and pointed his gun forward, when Naruto got up behind him and then put him in a headlock, holding tight as the man soon lost consciousness. The two remaining guards and the two kidnappers walked back to the middle of the room and saw they were two men. "What the hell is going on?" the male kidnapper asked as they missed something that would kick their asses. Naruto climbed onto a tall crate. He then jumped forward and did a jumping knee strike and hit the male kidnapper in the back and knocked him into the other three, and they hit the ground. Naruto kicked a gun away and pulled out his eskrima sticks and twirled them in his hands. He saw one guard get up with his assault rifle, so Naruto threw one stick and nailed him right in the face, causing him to drop the gun and hold his face in pain. Naruto then ran forward, jumped and hooked his legs on the man's shoulders and then flipped backward, throwing the man onto the ground. Naruto then socked him across the face and knocked him out. He then rolled forward to grab the thrown eskrima stick and spin-kicked the woman in the face. He then blocked a punch from the other goon, kneed him in the stomach and flipped him forward. He then blocked a knife from the male kidnapper and then smacked him in the face with his eskrima stick, and then a flurry of strikes and smacks against the man's arm and upper body and then kicked him in the chest and knocked him away. He then blocked a kick from the lady kidnapper, then smacked her across the face with his eskrima stick and then again in the shoulder and she fell to the ground. He dodged a knife strike to his side and backed away as the goon tried to stab him. Naruto then blocked the knife, grabbed the man's arm, spun and fell to the ground and then twisted the man's arm and kicked him in the face and knocked him out. Naruto turned to see the female kidnapper with several bruises on her face and cuts with blood coming down her mouth as she held her handgun and pointed it at Naruto. You know, I was worried when we were one kid short. But a grown person more than makes up for it. Get in the container, she said. No, Naruto replied as he tightened his fist and prepared to reach for his eskrima sticks behind his back, but if he tried to dodge the bullet, it could hit a kid. He needed to be smart. One bullet in you won't ruin things for the doll maker, she said as she prepared to fire the gun when she was hit from behind with a gun and knocked to the floor. Naruto saw it was Gordon as he pointed his gun at her and then at Naruto, but instantly recognized him as the man who saved him and Bullock from Fish's men at the meat factory. You? Who are you? Gordon asked as he pointed his gun at Naruto. Just a friend. I only wanted to help, Naruto said as deepened his voice so Gordon couldn't really tell it was Naruto. You helped me at the meat place? Gordon said. I did, Naruto said. Who are you? Are you with the police department? The MCU? Gordon asked as Naruto shook his head no. Just someone like you, detective. Someone trying to do the right thing, Naruto said as he looked behind Gordon. Behind you. Gordon turned to see the two goons get up and grabbed their guns. Gordon shot one of them as the other fell to the ground dead as Harvey walked in from the back. Gordon turned back around to see the helmet figure was gone. Who the hell took out these mooks? Harvey asked. Same guy who saved our butts, Gordon said. What, we got a guardian angel? A vigilante? Harvey asked. He said he wanted to help, Gordon said. A good Samaritan? Huh, only in Gotham, Harvey said as he called for backup. After rescuing the kids, Gordon and Harvey called in backup to put the goons away and take the kids back to the police precinct where they would be bombarded with reporters. After everything seemed to be normal, Gordon left to the Wayne Manor to have tea with Alfred and to talk about Bruce. Naruto had arrived a few minutes before and put his eskrima sticks and helmet away. As he saw Gordon pull up, he then quickly changed and sprayed some cologne on him so he didn't smell like blood or sweat. He then opened the door for Gordon as the two plus Alfred enjoyed a nice snack as Alfred had tea and cookies set up. Naruto poured Gordon a cup of tea and put a sugar cube in it. Thank you, Gordon said as he took a sip. So, how are things at Wayne Enterprises? All right. It's been a big adjustment but I'm making it day by day. Thank you for asking. So how are things at the GCPD? Naruto asked. I read about the child kidnappers. Well, I'm glad to say that the kidnappers are in jail and the children are safe, Gordon said. Good. I'm glad they're safe, Naruto said as he took a sip of tea. Well, I'm sure Alfred told you why we asked you to come here. It's about Bruce, Gordon asked. He hasn't been sleeping well, and when he does he has these nightmares. Now he's hurting himself, burning himself, he's cutting, Alfred said. Is he getting professional help? Gordon asked. You mean a psychiatrist? No, he won't have them, Alfred said as Gordon looked at him. No psychiatrists, that's a rule. Bruce is stubborn like that. He doesn't want to be psychoanalyzed, Naruto said. Well, you're his older brother and you're his guardian, Gordon said as Naruto exhaled. My father wasn't the kind of man who liked therapy, Naruto said. Mr. Wayne gave me very strict instructions should he and the missus die. Now I will raise the boy the way his father told me to raise him, Alfred said. Which is how? Gordon asked. Trust him to make his own course, Naruto said as he stood up. That's how my dad raised me, and that's how he wanted Bruce to be raised. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. What do you want me to do? Gordon asked. They want you to talk some sense into me, they heard as they saw Bruce walk in. Haven't I told you not to creep up on people before? It's bloody rude, Alfred said. All right then, Bruce. Talk to me, Gordon said. I'm perfectly fine. Alfred and Naruto are worry-warts, Bruce said. What did you do to your hand? Gordon asked. I burned it, Bruce said as he clenched his fist. Listen to me, Bruce. You've been through a terrible experience. Talking about it can be helpful, Gordon said. You must have seen terrible things in the war. Does it help you to talk about them? Bruce asked. Yes, a little. Gordon said. You're not a very good liar, Bruce replied. Bruce, you're hurting yourself. I'm testing myself, Bruce replied. Just like Naruto did when he began to learn martial arts. Bruce? Naruto asked. You told me once that the mark of a true warrior is to not only push yourself, but to never stop until you have no limits. And I'm finding mine. Bruce said as he sat down and ate a cracker. I heard of your exploits in the newspapers. I feel very sorry for those poor children. Me too, Gordon said. I'll give you some money to give to them, Bruce said. I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. Those children need someone who cares for them, like you and your brother have. Money won't buy that, Gordon said. I wouldn't be so sure. It can make a start, Naruto said as he sat down. What do you mean? Bruce asked. After reading about what has happened, Wayne Enterprises will be opening the Thomas and Martha Wayne Shelter and Orphanage. A state-of-the-art home and orphanage in Gotham set up for the city's at-risk and orphaned children. Housing the best people in healthcare, therapy and child services. Along with the best security team, the Thomas and Martha Wayne Foundation will help make a better future for Gotham. Naruto said as Bruce smiled. That's good, Naruto. I'm happy for you, Gordon said as he shook Naruto's hand. A few days had passed since the meeting with Gordon, and Bruce had stayed recluse in his room but was getting a tiny bit better. He wasn't completely shut off with Naruto. Naruto had gotten a bit busier and began taking his work to the manor to work at home. He took over his dad's study and used it as a place where he could begin working. Naruto kept thinking about what Lucius had told him, his father being a true stoic and keeping his best self hidden. Naruto got up early one day to leave for Wayne Enterprises but was stopped as Alfred walked up to him with a tall African-American man in a suit. Master Naruto, a moment please? Alfred asked. Sure. Who's your friend? Naruto asked. Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Given how things have been, with me being here with Master Bruce, I thought it would be best to have someone watching your back, Alfred said. Uh-huh. Naruto said as he looked at the man. Mr. John Diggle, this is Naruto Uzumaki Wayne. Alfred said as Diggle shook Naruto's hand. Sir. Diggle said. Nice to meet you, Naruto said. Well, I shall feel better knowing that you have someone watching your back. Don't worry, I personally selected him. You'll be in good hands. Good day, Master Naruto. Alfred said as he left, and Naruto and Diggle went to Naruto's car as Diggle got in and drove. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Naruto spoke. So, what should I call you? Naruto asked. Diggle is good. Dig if you want. Diggle said. You're ex-military? Naruto asked. Yes, sir. United States Special Forces, Delta Force. Saw action in the invasion of Panama, the Gulf War, Somalia and Bosnia. Retired. I've been in the private sector a little over 4 years now. Diggle said. I don't want there to be any confusion, Mr. Wayne. My efforts to keep you from harm may outweigh your comfort. Do we have an agreement? Sure, as long as you don't follow me into the bathroom, Naruto said. Clear, Mr. Wayne. Diggle replied. Naruto. Titles make my skin crawl, Naruto said as Diggle chuckled. So, you live in Gotham? I have my whole life. Father was a dock worker, mother was a nurse. I grew up with my older brother until we joined the army, Diggle said. Said Diggle. Since you'll be with me most of the day, I figured I should give you fair warning. A lot of the big wigs at Wayne Enterprises aren't exactly thrilled that a 22-year-old has control of the company, Naruto said. I'm sorry. Diggle asked. I'm just saying, if you want to, you can taser or shoot them. It'd be fine by me. Naruto joked as Diggle chuckled. And just to clear this up, I'm not expecting you to hold my hand and watch over me like a helpless cat. I can handle myself. Understood. Diggle said with a chuckle. This kid wasn't at all what Diggle thought he'd be. They drove to Wayne Enterprises as Naruto went to his office and Diggle followed him. Whistle, it's nice, Diggle said. Thanks. Do you want anything? Naruto asked as he activated his computer. I'm good, thanks. Diggle said as he sat down and picked up the Gotham Ledger. Naruto looked and saw a curious headline. Diggle, what's the big story? Naruto asked. It says, mysterious masked hero saves kidnapped kids. Diggle said as he turned a page. According to the testimony and statements from the children taken by the kidnappers, their rescue and safety was not due to the police but by a mysterious Good Samaritan who managed to subdue the kidnappers and free the children as the police arrived. Naruto said. They even got a rough sketch of the guy. Diggle said as he showed it to Naruto, and it was an artist rendering of a guy in a helmet. A vigilante in Gotham, about time. What do you mean? Naruto asked as Diggle looked at him. I'm sorry, it's not my place to say. I'm just here to watch over you, Diggle said. Oh, come on, Diggle. I value your opinion. Besides, it'll make our time together better, Naruto said as Diggle took a breath. Well, considering how this city has been for years, I think it's about time that the power was put back to the people and not the police and mob, Diggle said. Power back to the people. Even you. You going to start heading out at night to take the villains down? Naruto asked. I don't think so. Something like this, it's not for me, Diggle said as he kept reading and Naruto looked at him. He then finished writing up a memo when he glanced out the window and saw something that raised an eyebrow. Diggle. Am I seeing things, or is that a balloon with someone tied to it floating out of the city? Naruto asked as Diggle looked and he saw a large white balloon floating up through the city with a person attached to it. I think it is, Diggle said as Naruto got up to the window. What the hell is happening to this city? Naruto asked, thinking could things get any weirder. In Gotham City, outside the home of Ronald Danzer, one of Gotham's titans who was on trial for money laundering and extortion, the GCPD had set up a crime scene. He was the victim tied to the balloon, which was currently high in the sky and getting higher. Gordon and Bullock were doing some investigating. Well, Gordon was, and Harvey was being lazy. Gordon was looking over the cart that the killer used while Harvey returned to the scene with a cup of coffee. The cart was loaded with bricks for balance. So Ronald Danzer cheats half of Gotham out of their savings. Before he can stand trail, an unknown man clips him to the balloon. No body, we calling this a murder? Gordon asked. Call it a public service. Danzer was a bum and got what he deserved. I'm going to get a Danish, that's what I deserve, Bullock said as he left. After some more evidence collection and some eyewitness testimony, Gordon and Bullock returned to the GCPD. Gordon has some files and was walking to his desk when he heard some shouting. He turned to see the door to one of the interrogation rooms opened and a cop walked out. God damn it. Someone find me O'Brien, and get me some ice too, the guy said as he looked at Gordon. Who the hell are you? Jim Gordon. Gordon said. Gordon. You're Bullock's new partner, right? The guy asked as Gordon nodded. Lieutenant Bill Cranston, he said as he shook his hand. Yeah, Bullock tells me that you're a real Boy Scout. Don't think we should be roughing up the Skells. Well, they do have their rights, Gordon said. I'm going to have to remember that. Maybe I'll get that tattooed on my ass. Let me show you something, Cranston said as he walked past Gordon and an officer handed him a trophy. This was a gift from the Gotham Chamber of Commerce for years of service. I call him O'Brien. He also just happens to be the best interrogator on the force. Nice meeting you, Gordon. Cranston went back into the interrogation office as Gordon walked up to his desk and put his files down. Well, I just met Lieutenant Cranston, Gordon said. The man, the myth, the legend. Bullock said. He's a thug. So no fingerprints in those carts are too easy to buy or steal to narrow down. How are you going on those death threats? Gordon asked as Bullock looked at him. I thought we talked about this, Bullock said. Ronald Danzer was murdered. It's our job to catch murderers, Gordon said. The guy was a crook, Bullock said. Who had not been convicted of any crime, Gordon replied. Tell that to the two guys who killed themselves because he lost their life savings. This guy was living high for 30 years while the city kissed his ass and gave him awards for being such a philanthropist, Bullock said. So we just let his killer go free? Gordon asked. The guy walks in here and holds out his hands. I'll arrest him. Otherwise I'm content that justice was served, Bullock said. Like with the Waynes? Gordon asked. For the last time, Mario Pepper killed the Waynes. End of story. Bullock said. Besides, our killer is probably that helmet guy you saw a few days ago. No, it's not him, Gordon said. How are you so sure? The guy saved those brats, so going after a scumbag like Danzer seems right in his mo, Bullock said. Except eyewitnesses say they saw the guy wearing a hood and mask from one of the street carts. Besides, the guy who saved us and those kids never killed," Gordon said as he then had to leave to do some work on the Wayne case. Back at the Wayne Manor, Alfred had helped Bruce move his files into the empty study room near his room, since Naruto had taken over their father's study room for his work at Wayne Enterprises. Alfred was playing fencing, using some canes and walking sticks around the house, and managed to get the kid and Bruce to come back out. They were in Bruce's study, as Alfred was poking and smacking Bruce until Bruce forced Alfred to stop. "Whoa, stop," Alfred said as he hid behind the curtain. "Down swords. I surrender," he joked as Bruce chuckled. "See? Nice sword fight. No blood," Alfred said as he moved to pick up some papers and folders that Bruce knocked to the floor during their little fight. "Better than reading these dusty old files." "What's in these anyway?" Alfred said as he opened one and saw they were police files, of Thomas and Martha Wayne. "Police files, about your mom and dad. How'd you get these?" Alfred asked. "Wasn't hard," Bruce replied. "Why would you want to look at these? They're horrible. They're going to give you nightmares," Alfred said. "I have those anyway, and I'm looking for clues," Bruce said. "What, so you're a detective now, are you?" Alfred asked. "If I find a clue, I am," Bruce replied. "You found a clue?" Alfred asked. "Not yet," Bruce said. "Not yet. Now, Detective Gordon has promised you that he will find who killed your parents. Do you really believe he will?" Bruce asked. "He will try. Of that, I am certain," Alfred said. "Does your brother know about this?" "No, he doesn't," Bruce said. "Well, he ought to know. I'll tell him when he gets home," Alfred said. "No, Alfred. Don't. He's got enough to worry about. It'd be an inconvenience for him," Bruce said. "An inconvenience? Despite whatever your brother does, he knows that his first responsibility is to you. And if you plan on investigating and doing detective work, then your brother should know. If not to get you to get your head on straight," Alfred said. "I know. I've grown up with him looking out for me, protecting me, teaching me, shielding me. I don't need any more protecting, Alfred," Bruce said. "Yes, you do. You're still a boy," Alfred said. "I'm not a child anymore. I've grown up. Naruto has enough to worry about without this being a burden to him," Bruce said. With Naruto, he and Diggle were walking out of Wayne Enterprises and to the car as Naruto wanted to do something. "Diggle, head to 37th Arner Street. There's someone I need to talk to," Naruto said as Diggle nodded and got in the car. Diggle drove through the city to the address, which was on the edge of the bleak district. Naruto looked outside and saw the slums and condition of Gotham, crime-ridden and under the control of the mob with the police and city government in their pocket. His city was dying, and like his father, Naruto needed to help save this city. "We're here," Diggle said as they stopped outside an old martial arts dojo. Naruto got out of the car and looked up at the sign for the White Wolf's fighting school. It was a bit rundown, and even though the sign said open, there was no one inside. It was small and looked a bit unkept. "Thanks, Diggle," Naruto said as he walked up to the door and walked in as a bell rung. "Hello." They walked through the door and entered the main area where a small section near the window was an old computer, a desk and some papers. The rest of the place was the training dojo, fighting mats, training dummies, weight vests and a variety of weapons against the wall. Katanas, tantos, nunchaku, sai, bow staffs, shuriken and kunai, kusarigama, eskrima fight sticks, fight spears and bladed weapons along with tonfa fighting sticks, teko, brass knuckle-type weapons and even several bow and arrows were set up. "You sure anyone is in here?" Diggle asked. "Oh, someone's here all right," Naruto said as he walked over to the wall where a few photos were set up and saw that most of them were of him and a tall man with a face mask that covered his face from the nose down. He also had white spiky hair and an eye patch on his left eye. Diggle then heard the back door open and he cautiously walked forward onto the mats when all of a sudden, someone dropped from the ceiling and knocked him to the ground and socked him across the face. The person then threw a shuriken at Naruto, but Naruto caught it and threw it back as the person ducked. Naruto then jumped forward and did a jumping knee strike, but the man blocked it and grabbed Naruto by the back of the head and tried to knee him in the gut, but Naruto blocked the knee strikes. Naruto then knocked the knee away, grabbed the person's left arm and rolled forward, bringing the man with him as they rolled onto the ground. Naruto then tried to elbow the person in the chest, but they blocked the strike, and then tried to punch Naruto in the face, but Naruto blocked that and then returned that strike with knee to the man's face, but the man rolled backward to avoid it. The man then stood up quickly and brought his leg down to strike Naruto in the face, but Naruto brought up his arms to block them. Naruto then pushed the man off and he flipped back to his feet as Diggle had regained his composure and pulled out his Glock 17 handgun. "Don't move," Diggle shouted. "Wait," Naruto shouted as he held his hand up, getting Diggle to stop as the person who attacked them stood up and they saw he was wearing a hoodie and face mask. "I see you've kept up with your training," the man said as Naruto nodded to Diggle to lower the gun, and Diggle did. "Glad to see that 4 years at college haven't hampered your skills." "What, you'd expect me to just slack off, sensei?" Naruto said as the man took off his hoodie to reveal he was the man in the photos with Naruto. "Good to see you, Naruto," the man said with a smile as Naruto smiled and hugged him as he hugged back. "You too," Naruto said as he looked at Diggle. "Diggle, let me introduce you to Kakashi Hitaki, my martial arts teacher. Kakashi-sensei, meet John Diggle, my bodyguard." "You need a bodyguard?" Kakashi asked. "Alfred thought it would be better if I had someone watching my back. This is Gotham," Naruto said as Kakashi chuckled. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Diggle," Kakashi said as he shook Diggle's hand. "The pleasure's mine," Diggle said as he shook back. "Oh, here. This is yours," Kakashi said as he held a pistol clip in his other hand and Diggle saw it was the clip to his Glock. He managed to remove it during the fight. "Not bad," Diggle said as he took the clip back. "Diggle, excuse us for a minute," Naruto said as Diggle nodded and walked over to the weapons racks to check out the swords. "It's really good to see you again, Naruto. We never really got to talk at your parents' funeral," Kakashi said. "Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I had some things to take care of," Naruto said. "I know, I understand. How's Bruce?" Kakashi asked. "Not well. He's changed. He's grown darker," Naruto said. "Well, everyone goes through grief differently. You of all people should understand that by now," Kakashi said as Naruto nodded. "I don't think I'd be as okay as I am now if it weren't for your training," Naruto said, remembering one of first training sessions with Kakashi. Before they even started fighting or training, Kakashi wanted Naruto to be mentally ready. That meant going back to the bad and horrible memories of his past and boyhood and confronting them. His treatment at the orphanage, life on the streets and his birth parents' death. Kakashi told him that a true warrior's only fears were their own past. It would be up to the warrior to either confront them and rise above or get swept up by them and fall down. "You were strong, Naruto. You still are. I can still see that," Kakashi said as he smiled at Naruto. "Thank you," Naruto said. "Don't mention it. So how goes running Wayne Enterprises?" Kakashi asked. "It's going. It's not easy, but it allows me to try and do some real good. With the new city shelter opening, it's just the first step in trying to save this city," Naruto said as Kakashi saw that Naruto was serious and determined with this mission. He could see it in his eyes. "Your father would be proud of what you're doing, Naruto." "I am," Kakashi said as Naruto smiled and they looked at one of the photos on the wall. It was of a 13-year-old Naruto with Kakashi, his parents and a 3-year-old Bruce being held by their mother. Naruto won a martial arts tournament in Coast City and when they returned to Gotham, they took a celebratory photo. Naruto and Kakashi held the trophy as Naruto's dad hooked his arm around Naruto's neck and their mother smiled as Bruce smiled as well. "Thank you. I also wanted to ask you something," Naruto said. "What?" Kakashi asked. "I want to continue training," Naruto said. "You're sure?" Kakashi asked. "Yes, but with Wayne Enterprises, we'll have to have a flexible schedule," Naruto said. "I'd be more than happy to," Kakashi said as he smiled. "Besides, I could use the revenue. I haven't taught since you. No one else has passed the first step of my training." "Well, let's keep going," Naruto said as he shook Naruto's hand. They then heard the front door open and the bell ding. Naruto and Diggle looked to the door to see 4 punk teens walk in, one holding a bat and another holding a crowbar. "Hey, Cyclops, rent is due," one of the teens shouted as Kakashi walked forward calm and cool. "As I said last week, boys, I am not paying a protection fee since I do not need protection," Kakashi said with a smile. "Now, Why don't you boys go back home? I don't think so, Cyclops, like the man said. Rent is due, the teen with the bat said as he stepped forward. Hey! They heard as Naruto stepped next to Kakashi. You heard what he said, now, leave. Naruto said, warning them as Diggle moved behind him. Oh look! Cyclops got himself a posse. A teen said as they chuckled and Kakashi looked at Naruto. Okay, Naruto. First part of your new training, we fight together, Kakashi said as Naruto smirked as the teen's laughter died down. Well, maybe you'll think different with a limp, the teen said as he stepped forward and swung his bat, but Kakashi reached up and stopped it. Bad decision, son, Kakashi said as he yanked the bat out of the kid's hands and smacked him in the face with the butt of the bat. Ouch, Naruto said as the teen fell on his ass. Get him. The leader shouted as they charged, but it was over before it started as Naruto kicked one teen in the stomach, blocked the swing of another, grabbed and twisted his arm and knocked his head against a counter, knocking him out. He then blocked the kick from the teen he kicked in the stomach, and then pulled him forward, and shoulder bumped him to knock him back. He then blocked a wild haymaker and then grabbed his arm and threw him over his shoulder and onto the ground and then socked him across the face. Kakashi used the bat to block a crowbar to the face and kicked out of the leg of the teen, chopped him in the neck and kneed him in the face and knocked him away. He then kicked the last teen in the face. I think you boys should leave now, Kakashi said as one of them got up and covered his bloody nose. We'll be back, the teen said as he left as the others slowly limped to the door and left. That was fun, Kakashi said as Naruto chuckled. Nicely done, sir. It seems that your training was very effective, Diggle said, surprised to see that kind of skill in him. Well, 11 years of extensive training changes a person, especially with Kakashi, Naruto said as he then looked at Kakashi. Kakashi, maybe you should relocate. I'd love to, but there isn't a lot in the sense of other real estate that I can afford right now, Kakashi said. Let me worry about that. I think I have someplace you'll find more than comfortable, Naruto said as Kakashi smiled. Thank you, Naruto, Kakashi said. It's my pleasure. I'll see you later, Naruto said as he shook Kakashi's hand. Come on, Diggle, Naruto said as they and Diggle looked at Naruto. This kid is interesting, Diggle thought to himself. Naruto was tossing and turning in his bed as the nightmares of his parents' death, them being gunned down in that alley, the possibility of Bruce being shot assaulted him as he slept. All of these horrible nightmares were barraging his mind, and they also brought back nightmares he used to have when he was little, about his birth parents' death. Naruto woke up in a sweat and breathing heavy. He took a deep breath as he began to calm down. He then decided that he needed to confront them, like Kakashi taught him. Naruto went to his training room to get some training in. He was shirtless and wearing some sweatpants as he sat down in the middle of the room, on his training mat. He sat down cross-legged, put a lit candle in front of him and began to meditate. Slowly breathing in and out, like Kakashi had taught him all those years ago. As Naruto was meditating, he felt himself getting calmer and calmer as he remembered the words that Kakashi spoke to him about confronting his fears when he was 10. It's only natural for people to fear, it's what makes us human. It's when we are able to overcome our fear that defines who we are. We all face a crucible, a time in our lives when we must choose whether or not to overcome it and rise, or to fall. What is your choice? After Naruto spent some time meditating, he decided to move to the next part of his training. He took a bow staff off the wall and began training, doing some spins, strikes and working on his footwork. He stepped forward and did a figure-8 spin, spun the bow staff and then did a helicopter kick spin, rolled forward and spun the staff over his head and then did a wide strike. He then slammed the bow staff down, spun it around his body and back and then did a butterfly spin and kick. Naruto continued training for another hour, switching from his bow staff to his Eskrima sticks. The last leg of his training was target practice using the dartboard in the room. He threw darts but also threw some practice kunai and shuriken he had. He threw them at the board, making a perfect cross, and then went for the bull's-eye as Diggle walked in. Good morning, Diggle said as he walked in with the paper. Good morning. You're early, Naruto said, huffing a bit from his workout as he took a sip of water. Yeah, I figured I'd come in early with what's been going on. The balloon man struck again, Diggle said as he handed the paper to Naruto as Naruto looked at it. Balloon man? Naruto asked as he read the headline, Balloon Man Kills Dirty Cop. The balloon we saw outside Wayne Enterprises yesterday. Looks like the guy struck again, Diggle said. Yeah, against the GCPD. A crooked cop. But seriously, Balloon Man. Crappy name. Naruto said as he put his bow staff and Eskrima sticks away. Looks like we got another vigilante in Starling City, Diggle said as he looked at the dartboard and plucked the darts off. He then plucked the knives and shuriken off, looking at Naruto. Murderer. The guy kills people, Naruto said as he wiped his face. He may be trying to do the right thing, but that doesn't justify murder. Of course, sir. But he's not alone. It appears that the masked man started a movement, Diggle said as he threw a dart at the board. A movement? Naruto asked as he read the paper. First him, and now the Balloon Man. We've got the people taking the law into their own hands. Things are about to get interesting, Diggle said. I wouldn't go comparing the masked guy with the Balloon Man. The masked man was trying to do good, stopping those kidnappers and saving those kids. This man kills. Just so happens to choose bad people, Naruto said as he turned on the news and saw they were covering the Balloon Man. This guy is not to be celebrated. Doesn't help the fact that the people of Gotham are willing to side along with him if it means he takes down the bad people, Diggle said as he threw another dart, almost hitting the bull's eye. Then a kunai flew past his head and hit the bull's eye. Diggle turned to see Naruto with arm outstretched from the throw. Not bad. Thanks. And you're right. Gotham has been hurting for a long time, and with most of the police in the mob's pocket, the people are willing to back anyone, even if he's a killer, Naruto said as he watched the news as the people the newscaster was interviewing saying that they were supporting the Balloon Man and that he should be targeting other people. As much as it pains me to say, sir, this city needs help, Diggle said as Naruto looked at him. I couldn't agree with you more, Naruto said as he got up and looked at the paper and skipped to the 4th page, which had a small blurb on the construction of the Thomas and Martha Wayne Shelter and Orphanage. Diggle, can I ask you something? Of course, Diggle said. Do you honestly think that this city is dying? Naruto asked as Diggle thought for a moment and exhaled. Sir, I lived in Gotham all my life like you have. I've seen this city through changes, and honestly, it seems that recently this city has taken a turn that it never has before, Diggle said as Naruto exhaled and walked to the window to look at the Gotham skyline. Is something bothering you, sir? Just thinking, Naruto said. Thinking about what in particular? Diggle asked. It's just, am I able to do enough to save this city? Honestly, Diggle, owning a billion-dollar global conglomerate, I feel like I should be able to do more to help this city, but it feels like I'm not doing enough, Naruto said. Naruto, with all due respect, you're still just a kid. You freshly graduated out of college and are the head of a large company. That should be enough for someone as young as you to tackle. You already did more than you have to by starting that new shelter. You'll be helping a lot of people in Gotham, Diggle said as Naruto sighed. But is it enough? I mean, look at this city. Really look at it. The people are suffering and at the mercy of gangs and criminals. Falcone and his mob control every aspect of the city, politics, business, even the police are under his thumb. This city is not getting any better. Gordon's trying his best, but this city needs help, Naruto said as Diggle wiped his nose and cleared his throat. Naruto, you don't have to take it on yourself to be this city's savior. I mean, yes, this city is in trouble, but it has always been that way. If I may ask, what is bringing this through process about? Diggle asked. Ever since my parents died, it showed me that all my parents' work in helping this city never fixed the problem. They couldn't do enough to save this city, and I just don't want their death and legacy to be in vain, Naruto said. Naruto, it's noble of you to want to honor your family's legacy, but that doesn't mean you have to devote everything to change this city. You're your own man and you choose what to do, Diggle said as Naruto exhaled. I've got to get change, Naruto said as Diggle nodded as Naruto grabbed his towel. Naruto, Diggle said as Naruto stopped. Gotham City will always be Gotham, it's not your responsibility to try and change it. Naruto nodded and left to go shower. While he did that, Alfred had brought Bruce his lunch in his study and left him to eat. Alfred returned in about 10 minutes to see if Bruce needed anything else and saw that Bruce was too busy reading the paper that he never even touched his sandwich. Right. So no breakfast then. And no dinner last night. What's the new program? You want to see how long we can go without eating anything? Well, if that's the case, I should save myself the trouble, more for your brother and I, Alfred said. Have you seen this? Bruce asked as he showed Alfred the paper on the balloon man killing the cop. Oh yeah, that nut going around offing people with balloons. Can think of easier ways to kill someone. Master Bruce, forgive me for uttering the tired old words, in time like these. But, in times like these, you really need to keep your strength up. Alfred said. I'm just not hungry. Bruce said. Eat, Bruce. They heard as they looked to the door of the study and saw Naruto dressed in his suit with Diggle next to him. Even if you aren't hungry, you can't go without eating. Your brother is right, Master Bruce, Alfred said. I'm fine. Bruce said. No, you're not. And I've been so wrapped up with everything at Wayne Enterprises that I've neglected how you've been handling everything. Naruto said as he walked up to Bruce. I'm fine. I'm not a child anymore, Bruce said. Yes you are. Naruto said as he kneeled down. Bruce, you're only 12 years old. When I was your age, I was watching TV, playing with my friends and enjoying being a kid. You've been reclusive, and you're developing some secretive habits. The files on Mom and Dad's murder. Naruto said looking at the files on Bruce's desk. I'm just trying to find some answers, Bruce said as Naruto grabbed the files. Bruce, you're angry. I get it, believe me, so am I. You have this burning anger inside of you, and it seems like there is no way for you to stop it. Bruce, it'll burn you up inside, you need help. Naruto said as Bruce nodded. Good. Naruto said as he kissed his head and left Alfred to look after Bruce. While Naruto had trained and helped Bruce in his morning, Gordon was dealing with some problems as well. He woke up, got ready and suited up to leave for the GCPD, knowing it would be a hectic day with the recent death of the cop. He holstered his gun to his belt and walked down the stairs of his apartment and saw Barbara with 2 cups of coffee. Morning, she said as she held out a cup. Hey, thank you, Gordon said as he took the cup and kissed her. I tried not to wake you. It's fine. I have a meeting. You okay? You hardly slept last night, Barbara said. It's just work. Gordon said. You mean the balloon man thing? That's what the paper's calling him. And it says he killed a cop. You're not in danger, are you? Barbara asked. You don't have to worry about me, Gordon said. Well, what is it then? I can see something's bothering you, Barbara said. Yesterday, our first victim, Ronald Danzer, he was a con man. Nobody cared. Now that a cop's been targeted, the investigation will get all the support it needs. It's not right. Everyone has to matter or nobody matters. Otherwise people lose faith, and that's when you get vigilantes, Gordon said. But that isn't your fault. I mean, if anything you're giving people faith, Barbara said. Am I? How? Gordon asked. Your first case, you caught the Wayne killer. Do you have any idea what that meant for the city? You're a hero. Barbara said as Gordon seemed conflicted about that, knowing it wasn't what really happened, but he couldn't tell her. I gotta go, Gordon said as he kissed her and left. As soon as Gordon got to the precinct, Captain Essen brought him and Bullock into her office, showing them the news about the balloon man. It don't matter if you a cop, you dirty, the balloon man gonna get you, one pedestrian said. It's time the people of Gotham realize that they have to stand up for themselves, another pedestrian said. Hey, balloon man ought to get to my landlord next. He's a crook. And his name is Harold. Click, Essen shut the TV off. This is wonderful. This is like my dream of how today was gonna go. Besides the black eye to the department, now we have another vigilante who kills bad cops, Essen said. Cranston wasn't that bad, Bullock stated. But whatever he was or wasn't guilty of, Cranston was a lieutenant in the GCPD. You don't get to go around killing cops. So where are you on this and the Danzer murder? Essen asked. We're looking for a man named Carl Smikers. He was an employee at the factory where the balloons were stolen. We've got uniforms staking out his apartment, but he hasn't been back there since last night, Gordon said. And you like him for this? Essen asked. Oh, he's guilty. Leave me in a room with him, he'll be guilty, Bullock said. He's definitely connected, but I'm not sure he's the one, Gordon said. He had weather balloons. Cranston and Danzer were killed with weather balloons. He's the guy, Bullock said. Smikers never graduated high school. He's never held a job for more than a year. He's got bust for soliciting possession, Gordon said. Tell her about the other balloons, Bullock said. What other balloons? Essen asked. Smike's boss mentioned that 4 balloons are missing. There are 2 of them still out there, Gordon said. So 2 more targets. We have any sense who they might be? Essen asked. Danzer and Cranston were both known figures, and know to be dirty. Killer didn't need any special knowledge to target them. So it's likely the next target is public and known to be corrupt, Gordon said. Basically every elected official in Gotham should stay indoors, Bullock said. Find him. Now. Essen said. We will. Bullock said as he and Gordon left the office. We will? What happened to the killer doing the city a favor? Gordon asked. You're going to make me think you actually care. Listen, smartass, you want to kill a crook financier, be my guest. You kill a cop, it's a job safety issue, Bullock said. We need a plan. Gordon said. Relax, one thing I do know is how to find someone, Bullock said as he and Gordon left to do some detective work. As they were working on the case and trying to find the balloon man, Naruto was having a relatively calm day at the office. Just signing some papers and looking over some new financial papers that Bunderslaw had sent over. Naruto was looking at the reports and Diggle was sitting in a chair reading a magazine. Naruto finished signing over the financial papers and then moved to the new possible job openings and employees that were nominated for new jobs. One stood out, it was a new scientist, Dr. Roxanne Ballantyne, a very smart young woman. Summa cum laude from MIT, internships at Stag and Star Labs. She was quite brilliant and Lucius recommended her. Lucius. Naruto reached into his back pocket and took out his wallet. Stuck in between a credit card was the address in the Narrows that Lucius had given him, and told him to come when Naruto wanted answers. Naruto decided that it was time to know. He signed off, saying that Dr. Ballantyne was hired and got up. Diggle, come on, Naruto said as he grabbed his jacket. Where are we going? Diggle asked. To find some answers, Naruto said as they left. They got into the car and Diggle drove to the address that Naruto told him to drive to. Diggle saw they were in the Narrows, and was confused as to why they were heading here. What could possibly bring Naruto to the Narrows? They then stopped at the address and it was an old warehouse that read Tempest on the outside. Tempest was an old subsidiary of Wayne Enterprises that was shut down over 10 years ago when it was given to Queen Consolidated. We're here, sir, Diggle said. Good, Naruto said as he got out of the car and Diggle followed. Dig, stay here. Sir, I'm not sure that's a good idea, Dig said. I'll be fine. If you don't hear back from me in 5 minutes, come in. Naruto said as he walked up to the door. He grabbed the doorknob and twisted it and it was unlocked. He opened the door and walked in to see a lightly lit corridor to a large steel door with a handlebar and keypad. Naruto pressed a button on the keypad and the screen turned on to show 5 spaces that needed to be filled. A 5-number combination. Naruto pressed a few buttons, making up some random numbers, but the light kept turning red and beeping loudly. Naruto then also saw that the numbers on the keypad had letters assigned to them, like a phone. Okay, Naruto. Think. Lucius said that he worked with your dad. Most likely, Dad had this place set up. What 5-number combination would Dad use? Naruto thought to himself as he took some time to think. He input his dad's birth date, his mom's, Bruce's, his, Alfred's. He put the date his mom and dad got married, the day his parents adopted him, the founding of Wayne Enterprises, hell, even the mansion's address. Geez, Naruto shouted as he tried another few numbers and beginning to get frustrated. Naruto? Naruto heard as he turned to see Diggle walk in. What's going on? Not sure. But I hate technology right now, Naruto said as he input another combination and it failed again. A keypad? What the hell is kept here that requires a keypad? Diggle asked. Well, Lucius Fox told me to come here when I wanted some answers and he worked for my dad. My dad was CEO, he had his secrets. Naruto said as he tried another random assortment of numbers. Damn it. Naruto, there could be a whole combination of numbers that unlock this door. Have you tried something your dad would definitely know to use that only he would know? Diggle asked. Yeah, my birthday. His, my mom's, Bruce's. Wait, Naruto said as he got hit with an idea. The combination was 5 numbers or letters. Dates were not an option, but what about a name? His name, his dad's, Mom's and Alfred's would not work. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Naruto pressed the buttons on the keypad that happened to also spell out his last name. Wayne. Naruto said as he pressed the buttons and the screen lit up green and a loud unlocking noise was heard. Diggle and Naruto looked at each other as Naruto slowly opened the door and walked in with Diggle walked behind him and they saw darkness. No lights. They walked in and the door shut behind them and locked. Then a buzzing was heard as lights on the ceiling began to turn on and Naruto and Diggle adjusted their eyes and they went wide-eyed. Oh my god. Diggle said. Whoa. Naruto said as they saw a huge warehouse filled with technology that was way beyond anything that was currently available to the mass public and even the military. There were large computers and weapons on display, way beyond things Diggle and Naruto had seen. It was such a huge warehouse that Naruto wondered if the outside of the warehouse was some kind of optical illusion because it seemed that looking at the outside, everything on the inside couldn't seem to fit. My god. What is all this? Diggle asked as Naruto walked over to one of the crate that was covered by a tarp and moved it to see a Wayne Enterprise logo. This is Wayne Enterprise stuff. My dad's company made this stuff, Naruto said. But what is it? Naruto asked. Advanced technology. They heard as they turned to see Lucius Fox walk in from another door at the other side of the warehouse. Lucius. Naruto said. Hello, Mr. Wayne and welcome. Lucius said as he then looked at Diggle. Pleased to meet you, Lucius Fox. Lucius said as he and Diggle shook hands. John Diggle, I work for Naruto. Diggle said. Pleased to meet you. Well, Mr. Wayne, I can see that you have finally come because you wanted some answers, Lucius said. More like I was curious. Naruto said. Well, that works too, Lucius said. What is all this? This is all Wayne Enterprise stuff, Naruto said. It is. Various items from Applied Sciences and Wayne Technology divisions. Projects and items that your father felt to keep close to the chest. Lucius said as he walked Naruto and Diggle around. My father kept this stuff here? Naruto asked. Oh yes. You see, when your father ran this company, he felt that some things being invented weren't ready for development and mass use. So he designated the old Applied Science building where we are now, to hold projects and items from defense projects, consumer items, all mostly prototypes, not in production whatsoever, Lucius said. None? Naruto asked. So all of these items are old projects that weren't approved for development? Diggle asked. Some are. However, your father put most of the items here. Some of these items here are advanced weapons, technology that your father felt in his good conscience he couldn't let be out into the world just yet. Some of these items are particularly dangerous. Lucius said as Naruto looked in one crate and saw some weird long gun with a dish at the end. This is dangerous? Naruto asked as Lucius saw what he had. Wait, Naruto I wouldn't. Lucius couldn't finish as Naruto turned it on and pressed the trigger and device let loose a giant sound wave and destroyed a nearby wooden crate. Completely destroyed the crate and whatever was inside and turned it into rubble. Damn. Diggle said. Touch that. Lucius said as he took the device and turned it off. Powerful weapon that uses subsonic frequencies to fire a concentrated burst of sonar energy, capable of ripping the steel off a tank. Lucius said as he put it back. Yeah, it's dangerous. Naruto said as he looked at the destroyed cart. What was in that one? Oh, that was just a trash crate. I've been meaning to get rid of that for some time. Lucius said as Naruto's sweat dropped. So what was my dad planning on doing with these weapons? Naruto asked. Well, for now, he just wanted to keep them safe and away from certain members of the board who may try to capitalize on weapon development. As you just saw, if some of these items were released into the world, things would get messy, Lucius said. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. Diggle said. So what do you do here? Well, Mr. Wayne just asked me to simply help him hide these weapons in our old Applied Sciences building. Keep the board away from them. Lucius said as he walked over to a desk with a computer and reached into a drawer and pulled out a VHS tape. Here, your father left you a message. A message? Naruto asked. Yes, he asked me to give it to you when you finally discovered this. He also asked me to look out for you and help you, should you need it, Lucius said. Thanks, Lucius. Naruto said as he shook Lucius' hand. It's my pleasure, Naruto. I loved your father. I'm sad I never got to tell him that, and help him more. But the least I can do is help you and your family, Lucius said as Naruto smiled. So, can you show me some items around here? Naruto asked. Absolutely. Come, I'll show you some items your father was particularly interested in, Lucius said as he walked over to one container. Lucius undid the buckle and lifted it up to reveal what looked like a high-tech rope climbing vest and gun. Kevlar utility harness attached to a titanium-plated magnetic circuitry belt with 350 pounds test cartridge cases, with a gas-powered magnetic grapple launcher. Designed for the military recovery missions on rock faces and uneasy terrain. Kevlar harness and belt was designed to support a fallen soldier and the rescuer, with the grapple system having enough power to lift them up at speeds up to 40 miles per hour. Lucius said as Naruto and Diggle looked at the stuff. Cool. Naruto said as he picked up the small grapple system, which was the grapple hook, connected to the container that held the wire, the small gas-powered system that was about the size of a tiny light bulb, and the straps. Small. Yes. The small version was designed for shorter grapple distance up to about 25 meters. The large grapple launcher has enough cable to go about 75 meters. Lucius said as Naruto put down the small grapple system and picked up the large grapple launcher, which looked like a gun. Naruto pointed the launcher up and pressed the trigger as the grapple hook shot into the air, super fast, and embedded itself into the ceiling. Cool, wah! Naruto shouted as he was then pulled into the air by the grapple gun and dangling in the air. The only thing keeping him from hitting the ground was his grip on the gun. Powerful, Diggle said as he and Lucius watched Naruto dangle in the air. And fast. And can achieve speeds of up to 60 miles an hour with a light load. Move the trigger forward to descend. Lucius said as Naruto did it, and he moved to the ground and landed on his 2 feet. The line then disconnected from the grapple and moved back into the launcher. Awesome. Naruto said as he put it back. Come, there's still more to show you, Lucius said as they moved to another crate. He undid the lock and opened it to reveal what looked like a bulletproof vest, but a lot smaller. Look familiar? Yeah, it's Kevlar, Diggle said, recognizing the vests as Kevlar, bulletproof vests. Not really, Mr. Diggle. This is a step above Kevlar, Lucius said as he took one of the 10 vests out from the box. This is a new type of body armor, 50 times stronger than Kevlar with only a 1/3 the weight. I call it UHMWG armor. Kind of a mouthful, Naruto said. I'm working on it. But this armor is the best kind to defend against small hand-caliber bullets to high-velocity 7.62 sniper rounds. We even had some success in absorbing the impact from .44 caliber heavy machine guns, Lucius said. Some success? Diggle asked. The armor can probably stop the bullet, but the impact is a different story, Lucius said. Ah, Diggle replied as Naruto took the armor, and it felt very light, like a regular t-shirt, maybe a bit heavier and stiffer. It's so light, it's like fabric, Naruto said. That was one of our breakthroughs in making it. The armor used a combination of a graphene polymer composite and Dyneema material. Dyneema material is super lightweight yet can yield incredible strengths and absorb a lot of energy when it is woven together and spun just right. The Dyneema material is woven together like the patterns in a rug, very close together. When a force is pushed on it, like that of a bullet, the material is able to absorb the energy and expand, dispersing it at a much greater rate than ballistic fibers or Kevlar, Lucius said. Cool, Naruto said as he put it against his chest, and it felt like wearing an extra shirt. Why didn't you put these into production? Diggle asked. The military thought that $700,000 per vest was too steep, Lucius said. Naruto put the armor back. He then moved to the next crate about 5 over and opened it to reveal an assortment of weapons and surveillance gear. Some of the latest in surveillance and close combat weaponry. Closed circuit cameras the size of a penny, Lucius said as he showed Naruto a small camera. Can be synced to any computer or recording system. Cool, Naruto said. And these are tiny microfiber microphones, small enough to be fit anywhere and with a built-in lithium battery that can keep them active for years. Not to mention with a powerful wireless transceiver built in that can transmit the audio anywhere from within 10 miles. And a miniature parabolic microphone that can pick up vocal vibrations from half a mile away. Lucius said as he showed them the bug, and it was small, about the size of a chewed-up piece of gum, and the parabolic microphone the size of a handgun with a very small dish and the receiver. Oh. And the weapons? Diggle asked. Polycarbon taser sticks, which can be combined to form a taser staff. The sticks and staff are made of a special polycarbon blend, making them much more durable and stronger than steel and half as light. They contain a powerful battery that can deliver a 10,000 volt of electricity able to incapacitate the enemy. They're also energy absorbent, making them excellent ricochet items. Lucius said as Naruto picked on up and tossed it at a support pillar and it bounced off, then bounced off a crate and returned to Naruto as he caught it. Sweet. Naruto said as he put it back and then picked up the gauntlet. And this? Carbon polymer all-purpose defense gauntlets. Here, try them on. Lucius said as Naruto put them both on and they fit great and felt nice, not too heavy. Oh, like a glove. Naruto said as he punched forward. Designed for excellent hand-to-hand combat instances, protection and a wider range of other tactical decisions. The carbon polymer material makes the material extremely durable and lightweight while offering the best protection to the wearer. Able to expel double the force of attacks, and with an experimental mister fluid that is able to absorb and harden at impact, Lucius said. So it makes defending and counter-attacks even more effective, Naruto said as he flexed his fingers and performed a few punches and forms he knew. These really feel good. They also have other uses. Lucius said as he pressed a button on the side of the left gauntlet. The top part of the gauntlet near the wrist opened up to reveal a small dart launcher. A dart launcher that fires 9mm darts filled with a powerful sedative that kicks in the second it hits the skin. The sedative is a powerful tranquilizing agent that can knock out an enemy for well over 2 hours. Capable of storing 3 darts before a reload is necessary. Diggle said as he looked at the dart. And on the other gauntlet is an anti-personnel knife launcher. Useful for precise targeting against enemies. Lucius said as he pressed the button on the right gauntlet and the cover on the back of the hand opened up and shot out a small knife that was about 4 inches long and shot it into a support pillar, embedding about 1/4 of an inch in. Knives can special modified to make them heavier, poison-tipped, or explosive-filled. I'm thinking of keeping these. Naruto said as he liked them, unless you have an objection, in which I completely understand. Mr. Wayne. The way I see it, all this stuff is yours, anyway, Lucius said. Thank you, Lucius. Naruto said as he smiled. A few more things in here. Lucius said as he picked up a jet injector filled with some kind of liquid. This is one of my favorites. I call it explosive gel. The gel inside the container is filled with a special liquid explosive that hardens when it's exposed to air. The liquid shape also allows the size and force of the explosion to vary, so it can be a small drop for a stun boom or a large amount to bring down a structurally compromised wall. Now this is interesting. Diggle said. The liquid explosive is laced with remote-controlled wireless charges that can be activated from the injector, Lucius said. Okay. This is very impressive. Lucius, I don't know how you do it, Naruto said as Lucius chuckled. Just a matter of trial and error, Lucius said as he put the injector down. How come these didn't go into production? Diggle asked. Well, these trinkets may have seemed interesting and eye-catching, but was hard to get buyers to purchase them when they prefer bullets and big things that go boom rather than small items that require some skill, Lucius said. They're lost, Naruto said as he snagged a few of the wireless cameras and microphones. And now my greatest masterpiece, if I do say so myself, Lucius said as he moved them over to a large item covered in a tarp. I think you'll like this one, Naruto. Your father liked this one. Lucius removed the tarp and Naruto and Diggle whistled in amazement. I think I'm in love, Naruto said. Nice, Diggle said at what they saw. It was a motorcycle, but not just an ordinary motorcycle. It was the most beautiful one Naruto had seen in his life. Its long body was similar to that of a Dodge Tomahawk motorcycle, with the front part and cowl similar to that of a Yamaha YZF and the body chassis of MTT Turbine Superbike. Think Nightwing's motorcycle from Batman the Animated Series. Beautiful, isn't she? And powerful. 12-cylinder, 90° V-type engine, over 500 horsepower and can reach up to speeds of 200 miles at its top speed, Lucius said. Oh, I want to keep this, Naruto said as he got on. She's beautiful. What's the reason this wasn't put in production? Diggle asked. Mr. Wayne liked this one in particular and decided to keep the only one for himself, Lucius said as Naruto chuckled. Oh well, I couldn't agree with my dad more, Naruto said as he smiled. Gordon and Bullock were chasing leads on the balloon man and managed to find Carl Smikers, who admits to stealing and selling the balloons but only to settle a debt he had collected. He stole 4 balloons, but they wouldn't stay up in the air forever and would eventually pop, sending it and the contents back to Earth. Eventually, Gordon and Bullock got the call saying that Cranston's body came back to Earth but fell on a woman and killed her. The police had set up a perimeter around the bodies as the coroners and CSU teams worked their magic while other officers kept the growing crowd back. Naruto and Diggle had stopped by on the way back to the Wayne Enterprises and wanted to see what happened. Naruto looked at the mess and saw Gordon and Bullock talking. "We only have to worry about one more balloon," Gordon said. "Who?" Bullock asked. "Cardinal Quinn. He was meditating in his garden. Alvarez is on his way to the scene," Gordon said. "Now we're going to have the church on our back. Great. Forget the fact that Quinn was known as the diddling priest," Bullock said as he and Gordon walked up to an ESU guy. "Here's what we found in Cranston's pockets. What wasn't smashed to bits," the ESU said as Bullock took the bag. It held some change, a wallet, watch and some paper. "Why is your name on this, Jim?" Bullock asked as Gordon raised an eyebrow. He took the bag and saw the piece of paper that had his name on it. He recognized the piece of paper and whom he gave it to. "I know who the balloon man is," Gordon said. Gordon and Bullock returned to the station to inform Essen of who the balloon man was. They had set up a board and everything while Bullock tried to track down a lead. "His name is Davis Lamond, 48. He's worked at Juvenile Services for 15 years. No priors. He didn't show up at work today, and he hasn't been back to his apartment. We have uniforms at both," Gordon said. "You're positive he's the killer?" Essen asked. "We found a form on Cranston's body that I had given to Lamond yesterday morning. Also keys that opened Lamond's apartment," Gordon said. "I'm guessing they had a scuffle. Cranston went through his pockets, but Lamond managed to attach him to the balloon." "What caused Lamond to snap?" Essen asked. "Not sure. Lamond's workers describe him as thoughtful, dedicated, and sweet. A few said that," Gordon said. "Great. One of those sweet cop-killing vigilantes. What about his last target?" Essen asked. "Same profile as all the rest. Well-known, seemingly respectable but actually corrupt," Gordon said. "This is Gotham. That doesn't exactly narrow it down. Meanwhile, I have the mayor, city council, half of the city's judges and clergy hiding indoors, screaming at the commissioner to find the guy. And guess who he screams at?" Essen asked. "We've got his photo out there. It's just a matter of time," Gordon said as Essen left. He then turned to see Bullock get off the phone. "Nothing," Bullock said. "Really? Your network of Chinese loan sharks and hookers came up empty?" Gordon joked. Glowed later. "Just think about it. He had to store the balloons, the helium canisters, the cart he was using, maybe a storage facility, a warehouse?" Bullock asked. "Or an abandoned building," Gordon said as he got an idea and got his coat. "That's it. How'd you come up with that? It's the same thing I just said," Bullock said as he followed Gordon. They went to the car and drove to the old juvenile detention and parked outside to look for any sign of Lamond. "What made you think this place?" Bullock asked. "The girl, yesterday. Selena, she told me she was in a new juvie building. Lamond, the counselor, said the same thing before he mentioned they would be moved to Wayne's shelter. So it got me thinking. What happened to the old juvie building?" Gordon said out loud. "Turns out, the city is getting ready to demo it. Look, even as he was here, he's probably long gone. He's got only one balloon left. He knows we're closing in," Bullock said as looked through the gate of the juvie building and saw the balloon. "Or that's him right there." Bullock and Gordon then got out of the car, drew their guns and walked through the gate to the loading area of the juvie building. They saw one blood van there, so Gordon and Bullock each took one side to look for Lamond. Gordon walked around the van, with his gun ready looking for any sign of Lamond. He saw the back of the van open and the cart with the balloon was set up, but no Lamond. "I can't do that, detective, I'm not done yet," Lamond said. "One more time, drop it," Gordon shouted. "You should be helping me," Lamond said. "You're wasting your breath. My partner thinks you're as bad as the scum you kill. Me. I can see how you're doing us a favor, so don't shoot me, all right?" Bullock said. "You believe as I do. I know you helped catch those child snatchers. But the vigilante did the saving. He protected the innocent. He showed me that law is useless when they have men like your Lieutenant Cranston to implement them. And Ronald Danzer, he wouldn't have seen the inside of a jail cell, or that priest. Why didn't the law punish them? Lamond shouted as Gordon kept his gun ready. I have given my life to the children of Gotham because I wanted to make a difference. And you know what kind of difference I made? None. That's when I decided no more. It's time to take the law into our own hands and fight against the evil of this city, just like the mysterious vigilante did. I'm going to teach them that there are consequences and that no one is above the law, despite what the people in power think. So why don't you ask yourself, detective? Who are you fighting for? A mayor in the mob's pocket, cops on the take, or for the weak and the innocent? Who are you finally? Lamond asked. Oh, forget it. Lamond said as he pointed his gun at Gordon and pulled the trigger, but Gordon ran behind the van for cover. Bullock then elbowed Lamond in the face, pushed him against the van and kneed him in the gut. He then dragged Lamond over to the balloon cart and handcuffed him to the weather balloon and then hit the release lever, causing it to fly up into the air. No, no, Lamond shouted as the balloon was lifting him up. Yeah, how do you like that? Bullock shouted as Gordon saw Lamond getting pulled into air. He then jumped on the cart and grabbed Lamond's feet and held on. Shoot the balloon. Gordon shouted. Jim, let go, Bullock shouted as he had his gun out. Shoot it, now. Gordon shouted as Bullock reluctantly shot the balloon and popped it. Lamond and Gordon fell down and onto the top of the van. Lamond groaned in pain as he accidentally rolled over and fell off the van and onto the ground. Gordon leaned up and looked at Gordon. Nice. Gordon said as he fell back and exhaled. Gordon and Bullock called in an ESU team, a medical van and other cops to tape off the area and gather evidence. Some press was there to get an image of the balloon man and were reporting on the event. Naruto and Bruce were at home in the kitchen having dinner. They turned on the TV and were watching the news report on the balloon man. The crusade of the vigilante known as the Balloon Man ended tonight when he was captured by authorities. He was the one man who was attacking the corruption at the heart of Gotham, willing to break the law in order to save it. The news reporter said as Naruto and Bruce watched the news as Alfred brought their dinner over. I imagine the criminals of Gotham are sleeping well tonight, Alfred said. He killed people. That made him a criminal too, Bruce said. That's right, Bruce. Despite his intentions, he was a murderer. There's no excuse for murder, Naruto said as Bruce nodded and they kept watching the news. Can I get you anything else? Alfred asked. No thank you, Bruce replied. I'm fine, Naruto said. Well, then, you should try and eat before your food gets cold, Alfred said as he left while Bruce and Naruto kept watching. But this reporter begins to wonder, now that the balloon man is gone, who will defend the people of Gotham? The reporter said as Bruce actually ate his food. But behind his mind, wheels were beginning to turn. After their dinner, Naruto had Bruce go to bed while he finished up some last-minute paperwork. Naruto walked into his study room and locked the door. He sat down at his desk and pulled the VHS that Lucius gave him out of his jacket pocket. He turned on the small TV, took a breath and then inserted the VHS and pressed play. The screen was black for a bit until it showed an image of a dark room. It was lit to show stone walls, most likely the place was in some kind of old stone building or something. He heard some clatter before his dad finally sat down at the desk and looked at the camera. Hello, Naruto. If you're watching this message then something has happened. I'm dead or missing, I'm not sure but Lucius must have contacted you and gave you this. At the time I'm recording this, you've finished up your first semester of your senior year of college and I couldn't be more proud. Which makes what I'm about to tell you even harder. Probably one of the reasons I'm recording this because it's easier to say to the camera. Thomas Wayne said as Naruto smiled as he saw his dad. He began to tear up a bit. I'm not the man you think I am, Naruto. My family didn't save this city. I know people herald me as the savior of this city but they're wrong. I didn't save this city, I failed it. I've done things terrible things. I ignored my conscience, made deals and alliances with terrible people because I wasn't strong enough to stand up and fight. And in the act, the city has begun to die. I've tried to make amends for my actions and try to fix all the wrong acts I've done, but I began to realize that I wasn't strong enough. I've deluded myself for years, saying that every bad thing I did was to keep my family safe. You, your mother and Bruce, but that's a lie. Because what good is a family, Without a soul. You are not me, Naruto. You aren't stained with blood of my actions. You can right my wrongs. You can be better than I was. Thomas said as he exhaled and ran his hand through his hair. Who am I kidding? You always were better than myself. I knew that even from the moment I saw you in Japan. I knew that you were pure of heart, born with a kindred soul, and your mother raised you with values that I didn't think I believed in anymore. Honor, respect, loyalty, compassion, family, perseverance, and to always protect those you find precious. I sometimes think that it was fate that I found you, so you could help me become a better person. I know you've done that for Bruce, and no matter what anyone ever says to you, or me, you are and will always be my son. Keep family close, Naruto. And that doesn't mean Bruce and Alfred. Lucius is family as well. He can be trusted, and so can Kakashi. I knew that from the moment you passed his test. I've left something with him that you'll need, don't worry, you can trust him. Thomas said as rubbed his hands together. I don't know what trials you'll have to face in the future, what people will try and do, but I do know is that you have to trust yourself. Trust your judgment. If you believe in it, it can never be wrong. You can right my wrongs, son. You can save this city. I love you. Thomas said as he reached for the camera and the video stopped. Naruto took a breath and exhaled, as he processed everything that he just watched. He then stood up and walked over to the window and looked out to Gotham City. Don't worry, Dad. I will save this city, Naruto said. The next morning, Naruto woke up extra early to go train with Kakashi on his day off. Naruto had his day off today since there wasn't anything big happening except the announcement for the Arkham plan, but that wasn't until 3 and was a simple press conference. Naruto woke up early and left for Kakashi's new dojo, an apartment that Naruto had bought for him. It was in the nicer part of the Bleak District, which was close to Lauren Square, the major financial heart of the city. Naruto got on his bike and drove to Kakashi's to train. When Naruto got there, the two spent most of the morning training. They warmed up, went thought old forms and sparred. Kakashi then began teaching Naruto some more advanced techniques and fighting styles like the toad fighting style that emphasized quick feet work and placement but strong and quick strikes like a toad. Kakashi also showed Naruto the beginnings of the gentle fist technique, which targeting stress and weak points in a body, the strong fist style, which was the opposite of gentle fist, and circular fighting, which emphasized circular movement to keep the opponent guessing. Naruto trained with Kakashi for hours when around 1 o'clock, Diggle arrived. Naruto had sent him a text, saying where he was. Diggle walked in to see Naruto and Kakashi sparring on a training mat. The two were sweating and looked like they were fighting for hours. Naruto threw out a punch that Kakashi caught and put in a lock. Kakashi locked the arm, which kept Naruto from moving, so Naruto moved his body forward and kicked Kakashi's feet back and then grabbed Kakashi's arm with his free hand and pulled down, freeing his trapped arm. Naruto then grabbed onto Kakashi's arm, rolled backward and flipped Kakashi over him and onto the ground. Naruto flipped back to his feet to avoid a leg swipe and then did an elbow drop, which Kakashi blocked. Not bad, Naruto. Kakashi said as he pushed Naruto off and spun off the ground and back to his feet. Naruto swung his legs and got back to his feet. Thanks. I'm getting better and better. Naruto said as he saw Diggle. Hey, Diggle. Perfect timing. Naruto said as he walked over to get his towel and water bottle. Didn't want to stop the show. Diggle said as he walked in. Next time you should come with. Get yourself some new training in. Put yourself on par with Naruto. Kakashi said as he wiped his face with his towel while keeping his face mask on. I'll think about it. Diggle said. Not a bad idea. It'll make me feel better knowing you're getting training from Kakashi as well. He's the best. Naruto said as sipped some water. Thank you, Naruto. But I'm not the best. I'm close, but not the best, Kakashi said. Better than anyone I've ever seen. Diggle said. Maybe some lessons wouldn't hurt. Naruto. I was wondering, what was on the tape your father left you? I'll show you later. Kakashi, did my dad leave anything for me? Naruto asked as Kakashi looked at him and nodded. He then walked over to one of the old photos of him and Naruto and took it down. He opened the back and removed the picture to reveal a small folded paper that was tied with string and seemed to hold something. Your father gave me this to me a few months before he died. He said you'd eventually come to get it. Kakashi said as he handed it to Naruto. What is it? Naruto asked. Something your father wanted you to have. He wanted me to keep it safe, Kakashi said. Thanks, Kakashi, Naruto said as Kakashi smiled and walked into his apartment. What's in it? Diggle asked as Naruto looked at it. Something my father wants me to use to save this city. I'll show you the message later. Come on. I need a shower before the press conference, Naruto said as Diggle nodded. Naruto had thought a lot last night before he went to bed. He thought a lot about his dad's message and what he said, but he also thought about what he could do. What would he actually need to do to save this city? Devote more resources and funding into the police department and civil services? While that would be the most logical step in any other city like Metropolis, Central or Starling City, that would not work at all. This was Gotham. The police and civil services were in the pockets of the mob. Even if he could supply resources and try and turn those factions to his side, Falcone and Maroni would just come after him. Naruto thought about this over and every single solution he could try and come up with to try and save this city would run the serious risk of putting a bullseye on his or Bruce's back. The mob controlled the city and has for years. They wouldn't give up control of Gotham without a fight, and maybe a fight is what it needed. Naruto remembered when he fought to save Gordon and Bullock and when he saved those kidnapped children. He didn't do it as Naruto Uzumaki Wayne, adopted and oldest son of the Wayne family. He could be anybody. Maybe that was the key, to remain hidden. To not reveal whom he was but stand up and fight for the city as a symbol. A symbol could be anything, anyone. Surely this was crazy. To disguise himself and go out there to fight the city's scum and criminals, that was the police's job. But then again, they were in the control of the mob and things in Gotham would never get better unless the mob was done. But it was still a crazy idea, to go and be a vigilante. That's against the law. Naruto thought about this a lot, and knew that the only possible way to protect and fight for Gotham would be to break rules and laws and maybe become a criminal himself to bring down the real criminals. Could he do that? Would it be necessary to break the law in order to bring down those who were corrupting his city? Naruto then remembered a quote from one of his favorite books, Solomon vs. Lord, when the law doesn't work, work the law. And in this case, the law was not working at all, so it would need to taken into the hands of someone who would punish them. Jonathan Swift once said that laws are like cobwebs, which may catch small flies, but it lets wasps and hornets go free. Maybe it was time to add in a spider. This was crazy. Naruto told himself over and over again, and he knew it was crazy but necessary. There was also Diggle. Naruto liked him. He could tell that from the moment he first met him. Diggle was a good man. Alfred was also kind enough to hand over Diggle's file to Naruto, so Naruto knew more about him. Decorated soldier, special forces, born and raised in Gotham, so he knew what the city has been going through and no ties to any people or institutions connected to Falcone. Alfred had handpicked him, so Naruto knew he was clean. The file also showed how Diggle's brother was killed in a drive-by in Gotham City a few years ago. Diggle's brother was out with his girlfriend on Bleak Island when a drive-by shooting occurred. It was a hit on one of Maroni's lieutenants by Falcone before the Sword of Truce, and Diggle's brother and his girlfriend were caught in the crossfire. From that, Diggle had no love for Falcone or Maroni. The question was, could Naruto trust Diggle and bring him in on this? Naruto and Diggle returned to the mansion. Alfred made lunch so Diggle relaxed a bit while Naruto showered and got dressed for the press conference. Naruto got suited up in a nice business suit and got his cards ready since he would be speaking. He walked into the kitchen to see Alfred cooking and Diggle sipping on some coffee. "Coffee, Master Naruto?" Alfred asked as he held out the cup, and Naruto took it with a smile. "Thanks, Alfred," Naruto said as he drank some. He sat down and looked at the paper and saw that one of the headlines was that Councilman Ron Jenkins was killed in a parking lot. The paper said it was a mugging gone wrong, seeing as how both the councilman's and his assistants' wallets and jewelry were stolen. While that would just seem normal, Naruto knew that Councilman Jenkins backed Falcone's or the mayor's redevelopment bill. That was a cause for concern. "Sir," Naruto heard as he turned to see Diggle, "time to go." "Right. I'll be back later, Alfred," Naruto said as Alfred nodded. Naruto and Diggle got in the car and drove to the mayor's house where the press conference would be taking place. Diggle parked and escorted Naruto inside, where a whole bunch of reporters and news cameras were there ready to ask questions and broadcast the press conference. Naruto walked into the mayor's main open room where tables and chairs were set up and some posters and boards were also on display with certain maps. Mayor James saw Naruto walk in and smiled. "Naruto, good to see you," Mayor James said. "You as well," Naruto said as he shook his hand. "Are you ready?" Mayor James asked. "I'm if you are," Naruto said as Mayor James nodded. He then stood at the podium as the reporters and camera crew sat down. "Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Today marks a momentous occasion, a day where the future of Gotham is one step closer. Throughout our city, various districts and sections are in development, but today marks the last one," Mayor James said as he pointed to the section map of the city. He pointed to the Arkham district. Arkham, the one last undeveloped district of Gotham City. Now before their untimely demise, Thomas and Martha Wayne had a plan for Arkham, and I believe that it would be best that their son tell you what they had planned, Mayor James said as he moved to the side and Naruto walked up to the podium. "Thank you, Mayor James. Thank you, everyone. I'm here today because not only will the Arkham district be developed but so will the old Arkham Asylum. My parents had a mission and a dream for Arkham Asylum, to tear down the old one and rebuild a new one that will help save this city," Naruto said as he pulled out a text card. "The new Arkham Asylum will serve the mentally ill of Gotham in ways the present asylum never can. Those poor, sick souls deserve our help," Naruto said as he put the card away. "My mother wrote this. She believed that a new asylum would be the best way to help the mentally ill of this city, and I believe as she did. Not only will the new Arkham Asylum be rebuilt, but this new plan will help redevelop the surrounding area into low-income housing." "Excuse me, what are your thoughts on the other plan that has recently been gaining momentum?" a reporter asked. "The plan that would do away with the asylum altogether and use the surrounding land as a waste disposal site. That plan only benefits the people in power who have money to make from waste disposal. My family's plan for the Arkham district will help countless people in need of homes and the mentally ill of Gotham and leave behind a better future for this city. Thanks to the endorsement of the mayor and other council members, hopefully this plan will come to fruition. Thank you," Naruto said as the press conference ended. After the press conference, Naruto decided that it was finally time to get some answers on what his dad left him. Naruto opened the package to reveal it was a small key and an address in the Narrows with the message, "This is where you can start to save this city, if you so desire." Naruto had Diggle drive him to another address near the Narrows by the water. It was an old warehouse, which was owned by a company, which was a subsidiary of Wayne Enterprises. It seemed very run down and no one had been around in years. Graffiti and spray paint were tagged on the walls and some broken windows and old paint littered the building. "We're here, Naruto," Diggle said. "Diggle, park a few blocks away," Naruto said as Diggle nodded and parked on the street a few blocks away. Naruto then got out as Diggle followed him. They walked up to the warehouse to see no one around. They walked up to the main door to see Kakashi there waiting for them. "Kakashi, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked. "When your father left me the package, he told me that when I gave it to you that you would need me. He gave me this address and told me that when the day came when you asked for the package, to meet you here," Kakashi said. "Really?" Naruto asked as Kakashi nodded. "Okay, let's see what's inside," Naruto said as he opened the door and they walked inside the warehouse to see it was completely empty. They all looked around to see that it was an old abandoned warehouse with nothing but dust and garbage with a few rats running around. "There's nothing here," Diggle said. "Look like no one has been here for years," Kakashi said. "But this was the address. Why would my dad give me an address with nothing here?" Naruto asked. "Maybe whatever was here is gone," Diggle asked. "It's possible," Kakashi said. "Kakashi, are you sure that no one knew you had that package?" Naruto asked. "No one," Kakashi replied as Naruto nodded. "It's possible someone found out from your father," Diggle suggested. "Maybe. I'm going to take one more look around," Naruto said as he walked around. "He seems determined," Diggle said. "One thing you learn about Naruto is that when it comes to family or the people he cares about, there isn't anything he won't do," Kakashi said as Diggle's view on Naruto changed even more. "What the hell could be here? And what needs the key?" Naruto thought as he held the key in his hand. He didn't use the key to get in the warehouse, so it wasn't for that. Maybe a box was here that he was supposed to find. Naruto kept looking around, trying to find the smallest detail about what was here. He kicked a rock and sent it skidding across the ground and hit the wall, but instead of small clink sound or the regular sound you'd get when a stone hits a solid wall, the sound Naruto heard was a clank you'd get when you would hit something that was hollow. Huh? Naruto said as he walked up to the wall to see that it was painted and looked like the rest of the wall in the building. He walked up and tapped the wall next to it and felt like a solid wall. He then moved over a bit and tapped the wall, and it sounded like he tapped on a thin sheet of metal. He tapped it again and again as he felt the wall to find an area he could rip open. Naruto managed to find a hole in the concrete near the thin metal. He picked up an old metal rod, inserted it in and yanked the metal off a bit. "Guys, I found something," Naruto said as they came over to see Naruto trying to get rid of part of the wall. "Fake wall. Help me." Kakashi and Diggle came up and grabbed the metal as all three managed to pull part of it off. It made a gap big enough for them to get through. "Okay, who wants to go first?" Kakashi asked as Naruto stepped forward and managed to fit through the gap in the wall. Naruto walked forward a bit as Kakashi and Diggle followed. Naruto kept walking but saw nothing in the dark corridor until he came to the end and was met with another brick wall. "Really? Another wall?" Naruto asked as he kept tapping the wall to find another weak point or hole like the last one. "Another wall, huh? Your father really liked to keep his secrets secret," Diggle said. "I'm starting to get that. Come on, help me find something," Naruto said. "Find what?" Kakashi asked. "Anything," Naruto said as they looked all over the wall, touched every stone and corner to find something. Diggle touched the right part of the wall and felt a loose stone, so he grabbed it and pulled it out and saw a keyhole. "Here," Diggle said as Naruto and Kakashi saw it. "Okay, this is it," Naruto said as he pulled out the key from his pocket. He inserted the key and turned it 45 degrees clockwise until it locked in place. They then heard a loud clank and unlocking sound as the bricks in the wall began to move apart and separate to form a large opening. Naruto, Kakashi and Diggle looked at the entrance and could only see darkness and the beginning of stairs that led down. "So, who wants to go down the stairs of the creepy hallway first?" Kakashi asked. Naruto didn't need to be told twice and walked in first, walking down the stairs as Kakashi followed and Diggle followed him. It was dark, so Naruto was careful as he walked down. "Anyone got a flashlight?" Naruto asked as Diggle took out a small one from his pocket. "Here," Diggle said as he handed it to Naruto, who turned it on and shined it in front of him. He kept walking down the stairs, feeling that he was walking down about 2 flights of stairs until he hit solid ground. He looked around and the flashlight managed to show some tables, stone walls and electrical wires on the floor. "Look for a light switch," Naruto said as they looked around for something. "Here," Kakashi said as he found a breaker box with the power handle. He flipped it on and they heard a hum as the power turned on. After a second, the lights in the room then turned on as Naruto, Kakashi and Diggle saw the room they were in. "Whoa, wasn't expecting this." Inside the room were computers and databanks set up all around, powered by some kind of external power source. Naruto also saw a large board set up on the wall, which drew the most attention. It had an entire map of the city and its districts, which wasn't abnormal, but the interesting thing was that the map was far more detailed than a typical city map. All over the map was data, photos and pieces of information about the city. Who controlled what district, which gangs or people of power and control had the control over what industries, and what part Wayne Enterprises held in all of this. Next to the map was another detailed board that had pictures and information on all the important players in the city, like the Falcone and Maroni family, their lieutenants, who worked for them, the city service members, the mayor, commissioner and everyone who was on their payroll. Also on the list were members of the Wayne Board of Directors who supposedly had affiliations with them or were participating or benefiting from illegal activity at Wayne Enterprises. Naruto, Diggle and Kakashi looked over the entire map and board. Diggle and Kakashi were confused, but Naruto knew what his dad was doing. "What is this?" Diggle asked. "It's everyone in the entire city, the most important people anyway," Kakashi said. "The people who failed this city," Naruto said as Diggle and Kakashi looked at him. Naruto then walked over to the computer and turned the main one on. It booted up and the screen then showed a message that said, "All file deleted, playing message." A small video box showed up to show it was Naruto's dad sitting at the desk, recording in front of a camera. "Hey, Naruto. If you're watching this, then you no doubt have met with Lucius and Kakashi and found everything that led you to here. You're probably wondering what this place is, and since I'm dead it must be that I was right all along. This place, Naruto, is where I have been trying to do everything I can to right my wrongs. I've spent years accumulating all the information I could to make those people who were responsible for failing this city to pay, but it seems I ran out of time. As a safety precaution, I had the computers set up to delete all my research if I didn't insert a command in 2 weeks. I'm sorry, but hopefully you'll be able to do better than I could. I'm leaving all of this up to you, if you choose to. I can only hope that you'll pick up where I left off, to try and save this city, but I could never ask you to give up your happiness to do this. If you want happiness, then I beg you to choose that. Unless you feel a calling, a true calling. I love you, son. The video then ended. Diggle and Kakashi looked at Naruto, who seemed to tear up a bit. He then clenched his fist. Naruto. Diggle said. I'm fine. Naruto said as the computer then created a 60-second timer, which began to tick down. It also had the command, do you wish to reset? Diggle and Kakashi saw that Naruto didn't move at first, but then when the counter hit 29 seconds, Naruto typed in yes and the computer accepted the command. We're leaving. Naruto said as he walked up the stairs and Diggle and Kakashi followed. When they left the hidden room, Naruto twisted the key and removed it, causing the hidden passage to close. They then left the warehouse, but Naruto stopped outside. My father left me a message that I watched. He said that this city is dying and it would need someone to save it, and that's precisely what I plan to do. If you want to talk, meet me at the mansion tonight. Diggle, you have the rest of the day off. Naruto said as he began to walk to clear his head. Naruto, let him go, Diggle. Kakashi said, stopping Diggle as they watched Naruto walk away. He needs to be alone right now. Besides, he can take care of himself. Come on, let's get a drink, Kakashi said as Diggle nodded. After Naruto left the warehouse, he spent some time thinking to himself and what he was planning to do. Kakashi and Diggle saw the hidden room in the video. He couldn't ignore that fact. They were not unwillingly a part of this. Later tonight, Naruto would see if they wanted to be a part of this. Kakashi could be handy, since if he was going to do this, he would need to constantly train, and Diggle had combat experience, being in war. And that was what Naruto was essentially doing. He was going to war for Gotham, but not as Naruto Uzumaki, adopted son of Thomas Wayne, as someone else, as something else. After a few hours of clearing his head and walking around, Naruto got a cab back to the mansion. Alfred was dusting the atrium when he saw Naruto use his key and walk in, without Diggle. Good evening, Master Naruto. Where's Mr. Diggle? Alfred asked. I gave him the day off. I needed to clear my head, Naruto said as he walked in. He smiled at Alfred and walked to the kitchen to get a drink. Boy, did he need one. Naruto opened a beer and took a nice long swig as he exhaled. He then decided to go check up on Bruce and see how he was doing. Naruto walked to the study room that Bruce often stayed and worked in, so he stopped by there first. Naruto walked in to see Bruce hard at work reading a book at his desk. He saw some dirty plates and cups next to him, indicating that Bruce had gone back to eating regularly. Now what is Brucky doing? Are you being a good kid? Bruce heard as he looked up to see Naruto leaning against the door drinking a beer. I didn't hear you come in, Bruce said. I've been here for a few minutes. You should really pay attention to your surroundings. What have I always told you? Naruto asked. Always to be aware, Bruce said as Naruto smiled and sipped his beer. Good, you were paying attention. Naruto walked over to see what Bruce was reading, and it was the Solomon vs. Lord book that Naruto had read a while ago. Bruce, what are you doing with this? Reading. I thought that was obvious, Bruce said as Naruto pat his head and smirked. Hey, don't be a smart ass. I mean, that book is kind of dense and a big read. Don't you think you're kind of pushing it by reading such a dense book? Naruto asked. There's nothing wrong with testing myself. You've done it, Bruce said as Naruto chuckled. I know. But you can push that till later. Enjoy your youth. Have fun, as a kid, leave growing up when you graduate middle school. Naruto said as he wanted Bruce to stay a kid for as long as possible, to have a normal childhood, better than he did. I've outgrown those childish tendencies. I find those kinds of activities pointless, Bruce said. Really? Come on. Remember the nights we spent watching movies and eating junk food? Or how about the days we would play in the gardens and yards, doing mock Western battles and everything? Those were the best, right? Naruto asked as Bruce smiled. They were, but I'm getting older, so it's time to mature, Bruce said. I'm just preparing for my future. I get that, I do. But it's not a bad idea to goof off and enjoy being a kid. I mean, I did that and I turned out great, Naruto said. I'm not so sure about that, Bruce whispered. What was that? Naruto asked as Bruce turned to see Naruto glaring at him and got nervous. Nothing. Bruce replied quickly. You got to know your place, little brother. Noogie time. Naruto shouted as he put Bruce in a headlock and began to noogie him hard and mess up his hair. Bruce shouted and tried to get free, but Naruto was too strong. Even though Bruce was being attacked, he smiled, as things seemed to go back to normal for a few seconds. Knock knock, Master Naruto. Alfred said as he walked into the room to see Naruto put Bruce in a headlock. Yeah, Alfred? Naruto asked. Detective Gordon is here to see you, sir, Alfred said. He's waiting in your study. Thanks. I'll be back later, Bruce, Naruto said as he left. He then walked down to his study to see Detective Gordon standing there. Detective, how are you? Naruto asked. Can't complain. How are you? Gordon asked as he shook Naruto's hand. Not bad, busy is all. Apparently, running a billion-dollar global conglomerate is not all it's cracked up to be. Naruto joked as Gordon chuckled. So what can I do for you? Is everything okay? I hope so, but it's not looking that way. The councilman who was killed recently, Gordon said. Councilman Ron Jenkins. He was a supporter for Arkham Plan until he and his assistant were killed last night. Naruto said as Gordon looked at him. I read the papers, but you think it wasn't a mugging like they were saying. I just want to make sure of something. Councilman Jenkins was a supporter of the Wayne Plan for Arkham. I'd like to know what his part was in it. Gordon said as Naruto sat down on his desk. Well, not much to tell. Councilman Jenkins didn't work on the Arkham Plan, he was just one of the supporters for the mayor. The mayor and the city leaders who backed him helped get the Arkham Plan up the stage it is in now. Granted, the plan is now a mix of the Wayne Plan and the mayor's plan, but what you gonna do? Naruto said as Gordon found that piece of information interesting. What do you mean? Gordon asked. Well, the public doesn't know this, and only people who work on the plan do. Yours truly being one of them, is that the Wayne Plan for Arkham is only half the Wayne Plan. After my parents' death and when I took over as CEO, the board of directors worked with the mayor to combine the Arkham Plan with the mayor's progressive redevelopment plan. Naruto said as Gordon soaked in the information. The mayor's redevelopment plan? Gordon asked. Yeah, that's what it's been called, but the real benefactor and man behind the plan is Carmine Falcone. He's the mastermind behind the redevelopment plan to make himself some money if the plan passes. Naruto said as Gordon nodded. And Councilman Jenkins was backing the mayor, which means that he was backing Falcone's plan, Gordon said. Seems so. Naruto said. Then he was killed because, Gordon said as he tried to think of something. Because there is an opposing plan. That the other half of the city service leaders are backing, that would demolish the asylum and turn the area into a waste disposal site. Naruto said as Gordon finally got it. Maroni. He's the only one strong enough to oppose Falcone. He's making a play at Arkham, Gordon said. But why now? Why now with the Arkham Plan? Naruto asked. I don't know, there has to be something special about this plan. Gordon thought to himself as Naruto got hit with an idea. Wait a second. Naruto said as he walked around his desk and opened his top drawer to take out a small version of the Gotham City map used in the Arkham presentation. What is it? Gordon asked as he walked over to see what Naruto had. This is a copy of the map I used in the presentation today for the Arkham Plan. The part of the city as shown is split up into the districts for Miyagani Island where the Asylum and Arkham City are located. Residential, retail and everything. But these districts are also control areas between Falcone and Maroni. Naruto said as Gordon looked over the map, and Naruto was right. Between the three islands of Gotham, Founders Island, Bleak Island and Miyagani Island, Falcone had majority control over all three islands with his base set up on Bleak Island. Yeah, Maroni's territory is split here on Miyagani Island with the Arkham District right in the middle, Gordon said. That's what Maroni wants. Right now, Miyagani Island is split down the middle between Falcone and Maroni, and the only unclaimed part is the Arkham District, and it's the largest, Naruto said. If Maroni gets that, he'll be able to challenge Falcone for the island. We'll have a gang war for control, Gordon said. What are you going to do? Naruto asked. I don't know, Gordon said as he got a call on his phone and saw it was Harvey. Yeah, Harvey? Hey, Jim. We got something. Councilman Zeller's been abducted. Listen, Jim, Zeller is one of Maroni's guys, Harvey said as Gordon hung up. I got to go. Thanks, Naruto. Can I take this? Gordon said as Naruto nodded, thanks. Jim. Naruto said as Gordon looked at him. Be careful, Naruto said as Gordon nodded and left. Could they be related? Naruto heard as Bruce walked in. Arkham and Mom and Dad's death. Bruce. How long have you been listening? Naruto asked. Long enough. I heard that the Arkham vote is a power play for Falcone and Maroni, Bruce said as Naruto exhaled. It looks that way, Naruto said. Mom and Dad wanted Arkham to stand for something. To be a symbol of hope for this city, not something that gang leaders could fight over. Bruce said. I know, Bruce. Look, I will do whatever I can to make sure that our parents' dream doesn't die in vain. It's me, remember? What have I always said? Naruto asked with a smile as Bruce smirked. You mess with Naruto, you'll get a kick to the groin, Bruce said as Naruto chuckled. That's my brother, Naruto said as he kissed Bruce's head. Now get to bed. Bruce left the room as Naruto exhaled and looked at the clock. It was about 9:30, hopefully Kakashi and Diggle would be here soon, so Naruto walked to his training room. As Naruto walked there, he saw Kakashi and Diggle talking in his study. Glad you guys came, Naruto said. Alfred let us in. We told him you wanted to talk to us but you were busy, Kakashi said. I was, Naruto said as he closed and locked the door so they wouldn't be disturbed. I imagine you both have a lot of questions. Yeah, well, after seeing that large room your father had set up and hearing that message he left for you, we might have a few questions, Diggle said. Naruto walked over to his desk and turned on his TV. That wasn't the only message, Naruto said as he pressed play and played the message his dad left to Kakashi and Diggle. The two listened to the message that Thomas left for Naruto as they soaked in all the information that was being said before them. Thomas Wayne's confession about the city and his company, how he failed it and that Naruto was the best hope for saving it. Naruto turned the TV off when the message stopped as Kakashi and Diggle looked at him. That's a lot to take in, Kakashi said as Naruto looked outside the window. So your father knew someone was coming after him? Diggle asked. He knew that he was going to die. I guess he didn't expect it to be that night in front of Bruce, Naruto said as he looked out to the city. But I thought the police caught your parents' murderer, Diggle asked. Detective Gordon came to me before about that. He said that the police and the mayor framed Mario Pepper for my parents' death on order from the mob. I don't know why, but it has to do with whatever my dad was doing, Naruto said. Did you tell Detective Gordon about the tape? Diggle asked as Naruto exhaled. No, it wouldn't do any good, Naruto said. What do you mean? Kakashi asked. Even if I did hand over the tape to Detective Gordon, there's no guarantee that the mayor or Falcone would be taken down. They have control over the system, and if I handed over my only evidence, it would never make it to the courtroom, and Bruce and I would be targeted, Naruto said. Do you think the mob suspects anything from you? Kakashi asked. They have no reason to. For all they know, the matter is settled and done and I'm just the rich son taking over the business. Falcone even came to me to see if I would play ball, Naruto said. Will you? Diggle asked. Not on your life, Naruto said as he looked at Diggle. They failed this city, and my parents gave their lives so that they could continue their game. It stops now. Naruto, what are you planning to do? Kakashi asked as Naruto walked over to a bookcase to grab a newspaper. He tossed it to Kakashi, who saw it was from a few days ago about the kidnappers and how the mysterious man saved them. On the front cover was the rough sketch of the guy who wore a helmet. Naruto then walked over to his closet and pulled out the helmet he wore that day and put it on the table. You mean, what have I done? Naruto said as Diggle and Kakashi saw the helmet and it was the same one from the newspaper. Naruto, that was you? Diggle asked. After I read about the kids being taken in the mayor's press conference, I had a gut feeling that the problem wasn't over. So I went to the juvenile center where the kids were being shipped off and saw the kidnappers take the bus of kids. I followed them, and used Kakashi's training to take them out. I knocked them unconscious. Detective Gordon and Bullock showed up and I left before they could ask questions, Naruto said. Did they recognize you at all? Kakashi asked. I don't think so, otherwise Gordon would have come to see me already, Naruto said. And that wasn't my first time either. A while ago, after my parents' funeral and the police framed Mario Pepper, I followed Detective Gordon when I went to City Hall for a visit. That's when you first learned about your parents, Kakashi said as Naruto nodded. I followed Gordon the next day where one of Falcone's men had him and Bullock strung up. From what I heard, someone had told the Major Crimes Unit about the cover-up and Gordon and Bullock were about to be killed. I'm not sure what came over me, but I stepped in to save them. I left when Falcone and his men began shooting up the place, Naruto said. You stepped in because you knew it was the right thing to do. For as long as I have known you, you've always stepped in to do the right thing no matter what, Naruto, Kakashi said. And I'm not done, Naruto said as Diggle and Kakashi looked at him. Naruto, what do you mean? Diggle asked. Falcone, Maroni, the people they control, they failed this city. And if the police can't stop them then I will, Naruto said as serious as a heart attack. Naruto, I understand you wanting to avenge your father, but what you're talking about is crazy and suicidal. Putting on a helmet to go out and fight the mob? Diggle asked. I've done it before. Diggle, this city needs help. Gordon is trying his best, but this city is under the control of Falcone and people just like him, and they will do whatever they want to keep the city under their control. The police are in their pocket and won't do a thing, and the people of this city are suffering for it. The city needs to learn that it doesn't belong to Falcone or the mob but to them, Naruto said. So what? It needs a billionaire man in a helmet to lead it? Diggle asked. No, it needs a symbol. Not me, or a mob man, but a symbol. A symbol to the people of this city that anyone can rise up and keep this city safe, Naruto said. What do you mean? Kakashi asked. I want to save this city, but I can only do so much as Naruto Uzumaki. Most people will still think of me as a trust fund rich kid with a company who wants to keep his image up, and that won't fix this city. The people need to see that the city doesn't belong to the criminals and the corrupt, Naruto said. You can do that without putting on a helmet and fighting the mob, Diggle said. I can't. Even with all the money in the world, nothing will stop Falcone and his men from sucking this city dry and killing whoever gets in their way. My father understood that, and even my family's company is accused of doing the same thing. I can't stop them. Even if I get the evidence, then what? Take it to the police, who are just as corrupt. This city needs to learn that it doesn't belong to the corrupt and the criminal, Naruto said. Naruto, how could you possibly understand what this city needs? Diggle asked. You think so little of me, Diggle. I wasn't pampered my entire life like my little brother or the other rich 1%ers of this city. Do you know what it's like to watch both your birth parents and your adopted parents to die? My birth parents were killed in a car accident when I was only 5. I watched as the life left their eyes and they left this world. That's something I still have nightmares about, Naruto said as Diggle felt a bit ashamed, and Kakashi knew this because Naruto had told him this before. I was put in an orphanage where the people there didn't want me and I was on my own. I was kicked out and on the streets for 3 years where I lived if I fought and clawed for it. I'm not someone who takes what they've been given for granted. The kindness my adopted parents gave me brought my life from a living nightmare, and now they're dead because someone didn't want my dad to push back against what was happening in this city. And I will go to hell before I let his death be in vain, Naruto said. Naruto, going out there and fighting the mob, they will kill you. You won't be any good to Bruce if you die trying to pick with Falcone, Diggle said. I know. But this city needs help. People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Naruto Uzumaki. As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored and destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting, Naruto said as he looked out the window. What symbol? Kakashi asked. Something the city can look up to. Something that will put the fear in the criminal element, Naruto said as he looked at his helmet. And I'm guessing this persona will be used to protect the people you care about, Kakashi said. Yes, Naruto said as he picked up the helmet. This persona will keep the people in my life safe. This is insane, Diggle said as he stepped back and ran his hands through his hair. So why are we here? Because I'm smart enough to know I can't do this alone, My father said that if I wanted to do this I would need to trust people. I know this is crazy to think, but all I can do is ask you, so I am asking you both if you will help me. Naruto said as there was a minute of silence. I've always trusted your heart when it came to things you were passionate about, Naruto. Even when you were younger and we first began training, you always cared about protecting others. When I first took you under my wing and I talked to your father, he made me promise to look after you, and I will honor that promise. I'm in, Kakashi said. Really? Diggle asked. I've lived in Gotham long enough to know that this city has been dying. Nothing has been working so far, so maybe it's time to try something different, Kakashi said. I'll admit that this city is going south, but that doesn't mean it's time to put on masks and go be vigilantes, Diggle said. If I remember correctly, it was JFK who said don't ask what your country can do for you but what you can do for your country, Naruto said. So you're gonna take the law into your own hands then? Diggle asked. When the law doesn't work, work the law. If this city's civic leadership and police department are too corrupt that they won't stop criminals from controlling this city, then the city needs to fight back, Naruto said. Naruto, this is war you're talking about? Going to war against the mob and the people your father said failed this city. You're not a soldier. I'll admit you have a lot of training, but to be honest, you in way over your head, Diggle said as Naruto exhaled. Diggle, when you were overseas you fought to protect innocent people, keep them from harm, to try and establish law and order to places overrun with tyranny and crime. Is it so much to ask that we do the same for our own cities? Naruto asked as Diggle exhaled. It'll also be a chance for you to seek justice for what happened to your brother, Naruto said as Diggle looked at him. What do you know about Andy? Diggle asked. I know that he was killed in a drive-by shooting between Falcone and Maroni and that the shooter was identified as Victor Jaws. Being the main hitman for Falcone, he used his influence in the police department, making it so that the deaths were swept under the rug, Naruto said. Why are you telling me this? Diggle asked. I need to right the wrongs done by my family and to the people of this city, and you need to right the wrongs done to yours, Naruto said. I'm giving you a chance to help other people's families. They've suffered and will continue to suffer because people like Falcone, Maroni, and my father felt nothing by stepping down on them to raise themselves up. And if justice doesn't come from the cops, then it's gonna be me. And I hope you too. Diggle, there is nothing you can say to convince me to not do this. I know that I can save this city, and I will try my best whatever I can to do just that. I know this may seem crazy and insane, but I believe that I am doing the right thing, and if I believe in it, I know it's right, Naruto said as he walked over to his desk and pulled out a small folder and then handed it to Diggle. Here. What is it? Diggle asked. Financial compensation and referrals. I can't force you to do this, Diggle. I can only ask. I know you don't know me at all, but I know what kind of person you are, Dig. You're a good person, a person who can't sit by and watch as his city dies. But all I can do is ask. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, I'll take that as your resignation. In the folder you'll find ample financial compensation and references for other work. Goodbye, Diggle. Naruto said as he and Kakashi left the office, leaving Diggle to think about what he had just heard, what they talked about, the options laid before him. Naruto walked Kakashi to the door. Thank you, Kakashi. But why are you so willing to help me? Naruto asked. To look after you. And to make sure that you'll live to help Bruce grow up. Naruto. I understand why you want to do this, but this is a dangerous path you're facing ahead of you. Gotham City is dirty, dangerous, and its corruption will suck you in if you're not careful. Whoever fights monsters should see that in the process that he does not become a monster. Kakashi said as Naruto knew that quote. Nietzsche. Nice. Naruto replied. Point is, with me I'll be able to keep you alive. Kakashi said as Naruto smiled and hugged him as Kakashi hugged back. Thank you. Naruto replied. Now you keep up appearances here, you've got to work on the Arkham plan, I'll start organizing the hideout. Kakashi said as Naruto nodded and Kakashi left. The next morning Gordon went to Arkham Asylum with Bullock and Captain Essen to check on the crime scene of the murdered councilman. He and Bullock were tasked with finding the murderer, who happened to be working for both Falcone and Maroni. Gordon and Bullock were working on tracking down the man, and Gordon told Bullock and Essen about why the two councilmen were killed. With the information given to him by Naruto, He explained that the Arkham plan was a power struggle between Falcone and Maroni and that the councilmen were on opposite sides and the deaths wouldn't end until the vote was over. While Gordon and Bullock were working on the case, Naruto was at Wayne Enterprises making some last-minute adjustments and signing some papers to finish the building of the Wayne shelter in Gotham. Naruto was in his office doing work by himself. Diggle didn't show up today. Naruto figured as much. He had hoped Diggle would still consider his offer, but he couldn't blame Diggle for not. As Naruto was working, his intercom buzzed and his assistant Peggy spoke. "Mr. Wayne, Mr. Fox has called. Ms. Ballantyne has showed for her first day. Would you like me to send her in?" Peggy asked. "Yes, that would be great," Naruto answered back as he finished signing the last zoning paper. Naruto then put those papers in the folder for the city zoning committee when Dr. Ballantyne walked in. She was about 5'7", with short blonde hair and a black hair tie-in. She was wearing a gray sweaterwork and a black skirt with black heels. "Mr. Wayne, Mr. Fox said for me to come meet you," Dr. Ballantyne said. "Yes, Dr. Ballantyne," Naruto said as he stood up. "Please come in." "Roxanne, please. I prefer it, actually. Dr. Ballantyne makes me feel old, not that I'm ashamed of my age. Maybe I should stop talking," Roxanne said as Naruto chuckled. "Please take a seat," Naruto said as he sat in his chair and Roxanne sat down in a chair. "You're probably wondering why I called you here." The thought crossed my mind. "I hope it's not to say that I'm fired because I just started," Roxanne said as Naruto chuckled. "Nothing like that. After taking over my family's company, I've decided to change things up a bit. One of the things I plan to do is getting to know the people in my company a bit better. And I decided to start with our newest recruit," Naruto said. "Oh, thank God. I was worried I had moved to Gotham for no reason. No offense, but the city isn't someplace I'd want to really move into without this job," Roxanne said. "None taken, and believe me, I understand. I was just curious about you," Naruto said as Roxanne blushed. "Wow, I'm not sure how to take that," Roxanne said as Naruto realized how she took it. "Not in that way, Roxanne. I'm just impressed with your body of work," Naruto said as he opened her file. Summa cum laude from MIT with degrees in computer science and engineering, placed second at National Young Scientist Conference, several internships at Stag and Star Labs where you developed the prototype for Stag Industries' data encryptor and Star Labs' advanced computer security system. Quite an impressive resume for someone so young. "Well, I'm not that great. I mean, you recently graduated from Harvard and are the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company," Roxanne said. "Touché. Mr. Fox highly recommended you for the position as one of our executives in our computer science division. He sees a lot of potential in you, and I believe he's a judge of good character," Naruto said. "Thank you, Mr. Wayne. I've already got some rudimentary ideas on how to improve the computer systems here and some other projects that could be very useful for the company," Roxanne said. "Glad to hear it. But I should warn you, it'd be best if you kept those ideas close to the chest. I'm placing you under the direct supervision of Mr. Fox. You'll answer to him and he'll answer to me," Naruto said. "Can I ask why?" Roxanne asked. "Let's just say, I have some position jumpers on the board who would grab a talent like you to elevate them up. Any ideas you have, they would grab and take all the credit. This way I can prevent that. Don't worry, Mr. Fox will show you how things work in Gotham. Now, he's waiting for you in your work lab. He'll show you around," Naruto said as Roxanne smiled. "Thank you, Mr. Wayne. I promise Mr. Fox won't regret his recommendation of me," Roxanne said as she left. "I hope so too," Naruto said. The reason he put Roxanne under Lucius's supervision is to keep her away from the board. He had a very limited number of people in the company he could trust, with Lucius being the only one so far. He was hoping to make that too. Naruto then buzzed Peggy. "Peggy, is there anything else on the schedule for today?" Naruto asked. "No meetings, Mr. Wayne. But I do have a message from Queen Industries. Mr. Queen would like you to call him at your earliest convenience," Peggy said. "Okay. I can do that now. Thank you, Peggy," Naruto said as he turned off the intercom. He then picked up his office phone and dialed the phone to Robert Queen's office, the CEO of Queen Industries based out of Starling City. The phone rang for a bit before a female voice answered. "Hello, Robert Queen's office?" a secretary answered. Hello. This is Naruto Uzumaki Wayne of Wayne Enterprises. I'm calling about a message that Robert Queen left my office, Naruto said. Yes, give me 1 second. The secretary answered. After a few seconds the line transferred to Robert Queen's line. Hello? Robert Queen answered. Hello, Mr. Queen. It's Naruto Uzumaki, you called my office, Naruto said. Naruto, good to hear your voice. It's been a while, and there's no need for the mister. Remember I always told you to call me Robert, Robert said. Yeah, I remember. Naruto said, remembering the first time he met Robert Queen was when he was in town for a business meeting with Naruto's dad when Naruto came back for winter break his sophomore year of college. To help with Naruto's degree in business, Thomas allowed Naruto to watch some of the business meetings. Now, what did you need to talk about? Well, I wanted to call you and offer my condolences about what happened to your parents. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the funeral. Your father was a good man, Robert Queen said. Yeah, a good man. Thank you, Robert, Naruto replied. Don't mention it. I'm also calling you because I was hoping to talk to you about working on a collaboration on a project your father and I were working on before he died. It was a biotech enhancement design for veterans with amputated limbs, Robert said. Right, I remember reading about that in my dad's files. Project Siberian. Dr. Stone was the lead scientist behind the project, Naruto said, remembering reading that file. Yes, well, we're hoping to reopen the project and get it started again. Your father was a big part of the project, but since you're now CEO, I was hoping you would be willing to discuss the project, Robert said. Sure, that sounds fine. I'll have my assistant coordinate the details, Naruto said. While Naruto was working, back at the mansion, Bruce had just woken up from a nap by a nightmare. Of the night his parents were killed, and this time his brother was there and he was killed trying to protect him. Bruce felt vulnerable, afraid and powerless, and woke up in a fright. He quickly took a few breaths and saw that he was in the spare study room with his files all over the couch and the coffee table. He then saw Alfred in the doorway. Are you all right? Alfred asked. I'm fine, Bruce said as he sniffled and cleared his throat. Well, I heard screaming, Alfred said as he walked in. A bad dream, Bruce said. Oh, was I in it? Alfred joked, trying to lighten the mood. Chuckles, not this time, Bruce replied as he grabbed a file and reread it. Alfred, are there any more files on the Arkham plan? Oh yeah. Boxes of them in your brother's study. Piles of the bloody things, Alfred said. I'd like to see them, please. All of them, Bruce said. And may I ask, why? Alfred asked. I'm looking for a connection between the Councilman murders and the murders of my parents, Bruce said. I see, Alfred replied. After work, Naruto went back home, got some last-minute training in and went to bed. The next day, he had some more business to take care of at Wayne Enterprises, and then he was meeting with the mayor at his house to discuss some more issues about the Arkham plan. He hadn't heard from Diggle at all, so Naruto figured that Diggle denied his offer. He got a call from Kakashi, saying that he was moving some training equipment to the hideout underneath the old factory, organizing the equipment already there and preparing some new training sessions for him. While Naruto was doing work, Gordon was busy trying to find the assassin responsible for killing the two councilmen and stopping him from getting his next target. Gordon and Bullock got a lead that led them to the old Lansky accounting firm, where they got a lead on the assassin along with a folded piece of paper with the letters CLM. Gordon was at his desk trying to figure out what the letters meant. He's dead, Gordon heard Bullock say as he walked to his desk. Who? Gordon asked. Richard Gladwell. At least, the real one. Sent some unis by his apartment, found a moldy old corpse sealed inside. Puncture wound through the eye, dead 5 years, Bullock said. And no one found him until now? Gordon asked. Landlord said he paid his rent on time, kept quiet, the ideal tenant. Bullock said. So our hitman killed this Gladwell to use his identity as cover. And it worked, too. Employee records, payroll, contact information. All fake. We got nothing but a face. Damn. Gordon said, realizing there wasn't much to go on. All right, well, there's got to be something to this. CLM, you got any ideas? It's a complete waste of time. Bullock said. It's a lead. Our only lead, Gordon replied. Says you. Bullock countered. You can't be this lazy, Gordon said. Lazy? Maybe I just work smarter than you. Ever consider that? Bullock asked. Yeah. I considered it. Gordon said. Look, this Arkham vote is tomorrow. We don't find this guy by then. What happens? Bullock asked. Well, as Naruto has so helpfully pointed out with the map, Gordon said as he showed Bullock the map he took from Naruto. Worst case. A major gang war. People will die. Maybe a lot of people. We find this guy, we can stop it. Bullock seemed to have a thought, so he grabbed his hat and stood up. And where are you going? Gordon asked. To work the case. You got your ways, I got mine, Bullock said as he put his hat on. Hey, Harvey, tell her I said hi, Gordon said, knowing he was going to fish Mooney. Bullock then left, leaving Bullock to figure out what the assassin's next move was. He worked for an hour, combing through whatever evidence they had taken to figure out what the letters could mean. Could they be the initials of the councilman he was going to kill next? Was it the initials of the building where the target was located? So many possibilities, and he needed to figure it out soon. He was pulled out of his thoughts when his phone rang. Detective Gordon. Gordon answered. Hello, old friend. Oswald Cobblepot said as Gordon realized it was him. What do you want? Gordon asked, worried about who was listening. To offer you help. To prove that you can trust me. There's gonna be another murder. Maroni has put out the hit, Cobblepot said. Who's the target? Gordon asked. Someone backing Falcone's plan. Who it is, I can't be certain. But given how close the vote it has to be someone whose death will make an impact, Cobblepot said. All the councilmen are under police protection tonight, Gordon said. Chuckles. There are many ways around the police. But the hit will happen tonight. That much I can be certain of, Cobblepot said. How do you know this? Gordon asked. I told you, Detective. Gotham is my home, Cobblepot said as he hung up. Gordon hung up the phone and thought for a second before an idea hit him and walked over to the desk sergeant's desk. I need a list of officers working police protection tonight, Gordon said as the desk sergeant handed him the list, and Gordon looked it over. He saw the officers on protection detail for Mayor James, Officer Campos, Lazenby and Martins. CLM it matched. Maroni was going after the mayor. He left and took out his phone to call Harvey. Bullock, I found out how Gladwell's next target is. It's the mayor, Gordon said as he left and got in his car. After a short drive, he parked outside the mayor's house in the pouring rain and saw the 3 police cars, but looked inside and saw they were empty. The officers were already called away, so the assassin was coming soon. He ran up to the mayor's house and knocked on the door, hoping he had got there in time. Gordon waited as the door opened but wasn't expecting to see Naruto at the door. Gordon, what are you doing here? Naruto asked as Gordon was shocked to see Naruto here. Naruto, what are you doing here? Where's Mayor James? Gordon asked. He's inside. We're discussing some last-minute details, Naruto said as Mayor James walked up to the door. What's going on? You shouldn't be here. It's too dangerous, Gordon said. What do you mean? Naruto asked. Detective Gordon, what are you doing here? Mayor James asked. Sir, I think your life may be in danger. I need to get you out of here, Gordon said. What? No, I'm not going anywhere. I got police protection, Gordon said. They're gone, Gordon said. What? Mayor James answered. I just checked. No one's here. Sir, I think someone's coming here to kill you, Gordon said as he pushed Mayor James back in the house. We need to leave, and Naruto, you need to get out of here. I need to get some things from my safe, Mayor James said as he walked upstairs, and Naruto followed to get his stuff. The mayor grabbed his briefcase and went to his safe while Naruto grabbed his files and put his jacket on. Sir, we need to hurry up, Gordon said as Mayor James grabbed as much stuff as he could. I'm going as fast as I can, Mayor James said. Come on. We need to leave, Naruto said as Mayor James grabbed his stuff, and the 3 made their way downstairs. Gordon opened the front door to see the assassin there with his pike-like weapon ready. Gordon quickly stepped back but lost his footing and fell to the ground and dropped his gun. Naruto grabbed him and the 3 ran back upstairs. Go! Go! Naruto shouted as they ran. The assassin grabbed the gun and ran after them. The 3 ran into the mayor's office and locked the door, buying them some time. Is there another way out? Gordon asked. There, Mayor James said, pointing to the other door which led to the large conference room the mayor had in his house. Gordon walked over and pushed the heavy large door as the assassin tried to break down the door. "He's coming. Why don't you shoot him?" "He's got my gun. I can't." "Go," Gordon shouted as they ran inside the conference room. The assassin then shot the door lock and kicked the door in. He saw the door to the conference room open, so he walked to the door. He walked up to the room and saw Mayor James and Naruto and was about to fire his gun and kill them, but Gordon was hiding behind the door and smacked the assassin with a chair. The assassin recoiled from the hit and dropped the gun as Gordon kicked it away and grabbed the broken leg of the chair. The assassin grabbed his pike device and tried to stab Gordon, but Gordon blocked his arm and pushed him against one of the support pillars. The assassin then smacked Gordon in the face and kicked him in the gut, knocking him into the chairs set up in the conference room. The assassin then set his sights on the mayor, but Naruto decided to stop him. Naruto grabbed a chair and smacked the assassin against the windows. The force was hard enough that it broke the chair and sent the assassin into the windows, breaking some of them. Naruto then punched the assassin across the face and threw him against a support pillar. The assassin hit the pillar but kicked Naruto in the stomach, knocking him back. He then swung at Naruto's head, but Naruto ducked as the assassin released the spike from his pike weapon. Naruto blocked the spike that tried to stab his face as the assassin tried to push the weapon, but Naruto held him back. "Get away from him," he heard as Naruto looked to see Diggle at the door with his gun out. "Freeze. Drop it or I'll shoot," Gordon shouted as he pointed his gun at the assassin. The assassin held his hands up, seeing two guns pointed at him. "You know why they hire a professional? 'Cause he finishes the job," he said as he moved to strike the mayor, but Diggle and Gordon fired their guns, filling him with lead. The assassin dropped down to the ground bleeding out and dying as Diggle and Gordon walked in. They heard footsteps coming from behind and saw Harvey with his gun out. Harvey walked in to see the dead assassin on the ground. "What did I miss?" Harvey asked. After the assassin was killed, the GCPD was called to the mayor's office to set up a crime scene. The coroners and medical examiners were there to take care of the body of the dead assassin, collect any evidence, and the police talked to the witnesses for the reports. Naruto gave his statement and so did the mayor and Diggle. Naruto nodded to Diggle for coming and Diggle nodded back, and after their reports were given, they were allowed to leave. Naruto got in his car and drove back to the manor with Diggle following him. Naruto walked in and told Alfred about what happened to reassure him he was fine, although Alfred told him this is why you have a bodyguard. Alfred had also told Naruto what Bruce was doing. Naruto would talk to him later. Naruto walked to his study to see Diggle looking out the window. Naruto closed and locked the door and cleared him throat, getting Diggle's attention. "So, you here for the bodyguard position? Because Alfred's been making a fuss," Naruto said. "No, I'm not," Diggle said as he turned around to face Naruto. "I'm here about the other position." Naruto nodded as Diggle took out the folder that Naruto had given him for referrals and financial compensation and put it on the desk. "Just to be clear, I'm not signing on to be a sidekick. But you're right, fighting for this city needs to be done and you're going to do it with or without me," Diggle said. "Yeah," Naruto replied, "but maybe with me, we'll be able to save more people, including you," Diggle said. "Diggle, I'm not looking to be saved," Naruto said. "Maybe not. But you need someone just the same. You are going to be fighting a war, Naruto. Except you have no idea what war does to you. How it scrapes off little pieces your soul. And you need someone to remind you of who you are, and not this thing you could turn into," Diggle said as he held out his hand for Naruto to shake. "Glad to have you on board, partner," Naruto said as he and Diggle shook hands. "So, how should we start?" Diggle asked. "We figure out how we're going to take back this city. Come on," Naruto said as he and Diggle left the manor to the hideout to see how Kakashi had set everything up. They drove to the hideout and entered through the secret entrance wall to see Kakashi finish setting up the training area in the hideout. He had also dusted off some of the equipment that Naruto's father had left in the hideout. Lights were set up to keep the area well lit, the computer were dusted, and all the hard copy information and boards that had information on all the players in Gotham were set up against the wall. Kakashi had set up some weights, training dummies, and weapons on the side for Naruto's training. Naruto and Diggle saw him currently on a new training exercise. He had set up a salmon ladder. He pulled up and the bar hooked onto the next level and he kept going up. He stopped, seeing Naruto and Diggle walk in and dropped down. He was sweating a bit from the workout. "Diggle, glad to see you here," Kakashi said as he wiped his face with his towel and took a drink of water. "Yeah, well, I just needed some time to think," Diggle said. "Well, we're all here. Naruto, how do you want to pursue?" Kakashi asked as Naruto looked at the board that had the map of Gotham and all the people that failed the city, criminal or otherwise. "We do some research. Before we strike, we need to know how," Naruto said as they nodded when he got a call on his phone. It was Lucius. "Excuse me. Yeah, what is it, Lucius?" Naruto asked as Lucius delivered some bad news. "Wait, what? How? That's not possible. The plan is under Wayne Enterprises' jurisdiction." "What do you mean they found a loophole? How did the mayor find that loophole? The entire board backed his decision? That's not right, they can't do this," Naruto said in a pissed-off tone that Kakashi and Diggle noted. He wasn't happy. "All right, I'm not going to give up on this. Send over the contract and deal. I want to figure out a way to fix this." "Thanks, Lucius," Naruto said as he hung up. "Problem?" Diggle asked. "The mayor and the Wayne board have taken over the Arkham plan," Naruto said. "How?" Kakashi asked. "I don't know. The board and the mayor must have found a loophole and took executive control of the Arkham plan." "I've got nothing," Naruto said. "So what are they going to do?" Diggle asked. "From what Lucius told me, the board has completely given up control of the Arkham plan to the mayor and City Hall to deal with. Wayne Enterprises will have no attachment or ties to the plan at all," Naruto said as he exhaled. "Ah!" Naruto in anger as he kicked over a training dummy. "Damn it." "Easy, Naruto," Kakashi said as Naruto sat down and exhaled in frustration. "They won't get away with this. The members of the board, the mayor and the mob, they failed this city and it's time the city fought back," Naruto said as he walked up to the board holding all the photos of the major players in the city, grabbed a kunai from the training table and stabbed it right into the picture of the board. "Justice is coming for them," Naruto said. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next part.